day so we can start over and do it again, instead of finding that juice that God gave us, that unique expression of ourselves that will touch other people and make us feel like this life has a greater meaning than just the day-to-day stuff. And so we want to deliver on that in the next 7 days. That's a big promise. But it can happen, and the reason I believe it can happen is not only because I know my stuff, but you know yours. If you're listening to me right now, you're one of the few who do. You're not one of those people who settle. Everybody talks a great game, don't they? Oh, yeah, I'd like to transform my life. Sure, I'd like to be physically fit and energetic. I'd like to have more time with my kids, of course. Yes, I want to find that ideal person, or I want to put the juice back in my relationship. You know, of course I'd like to do well financially. I'd like to be financially free. Maybe I'll hit the lottery. Most people got great goals, great wishes is what they really have, but they have no plan. You know, hope will not get us what we want. If that's all it took, we'd all be rich, we'd all be thin, we'd all have the greatest relationships, and our kids would all be perfect. You know, we all feel this incredible connection with God every moment, but few people do. And it's the few that actually make it their focus and they take action upon it. So the fact that you're not just one of those people talking, but you took action, that's pretty unique. You're like me. I was willing to buy all these lousy tapes. I didn't even have the money, and I'd go out and get those things because something inside of me was not willing to settle for less than I could be. Something inside of me knew there was more, and I didn't want to live in despair anymore, and I didn't want to be embarrassed about my body, and I didn't want to feel like my life didn't have a real purpose. And so you're probably not where I was. I'm sure you're much further along than I was along that journey. Maybe you are where I am now, which is juiced about my life, and you're just looking for that extra advantage, those extra little tools that you can tweak things to take it to another level so you can enjoy even more and give even more to the people around you. But I can tell you this. I know you can succeed at this because you made it through your pessimism, skepticism, stuff that really kills our faith. You know, people tell me all the time, well, I'm skeptical about this kind of stuff. You know, I'm pessimistic. I say, no, you're gutless. You're scared. Tell the truth. You're afraid to get your hopes up. I got it. I've been there too. You're afraid to get excited about something and then have it not work. So often it happens. But certain things work. There are laws of life. If you live them, you'll get results. If you sow, you'll reap. And the reason they work is because they've been modeled from people that have already made it happen. I've spent a quarter of a century with some of the most challenged people in the world, helping turn things around, and also some of the greatest leaders. Leaders of the heart. People like Mother Teresa, God rest her soul, or a lady I got to know very well, Princess Diana. And I'm not telling you this to drop names. I'm telling you because I want you to realize I've had the privilege of connecting with people that uniquely inspired millions. I've also been around leaders of the head, brilliant brains in science and finance. I've coached now for more than 7 years on the top financial traders in the world. And I've literally had communication with him every day, 5 days a week for 7 years. And I've watched him make $500 million in a day and helped him to coach him through changes along the way. Not just a pump up and motivation and positive thinking. If that's what you want from this, that's not what these 7 days are about, but strategy. Step-by-step things you do to be able to deal with real-life challenges and turn them around now. Step-by-step things you do to make sure you can enjoy the process while you're dealing with those inevitable challenges that we all have in our lives. So I know it'll work for you because you didn't just see the stuff, you got over your skepticism, you said, I'm willing to take a chance, and more importantly, now you're actually listening to it. You took the step of listening. That's a big step, frankly. You know, every journey, and this is a journey, I promise you, a great journey you've begun. But every journey begins with that first step. You know, the old adage they say, it's overused, but it's true. And the first step is listening. So if you got faith and you got the ability to take action, you have the ability to change anything in your life. And I don't know where you are right now. I don't know if you're in the most challenged time of your life or if you're in the victory period. But wherever you are, it can change with two things: consistent focus and consistent action. And I can promise you, I don't care how big the challenge is, you can turn it around. You know, at this stage of my life, I'm the guy that gets the call when the fire starts. You know, when all of a sudden the golfer had a 6-stroke advantage and he ended up losing by 4 strokes on national television. I mean, you don't want to get back up and go through that again. Or I get the call when the president is under fire and there's an impeachment hearing and somebody wants some strategy or conversation, or a couple is in a position where they're trying to figure out what to do because their son or daughter is suicidal. Or on the positive side, you know, rock and roll group says, you know what, we're feeling burnt out, we're succeeding, we're doing our best, but we're not enjoying it. You know, you got the tools here to help us be fulfilled. Step up and deliver, and it's a blast. Or I get people stop me every day to tell me these great stories about they changed their body or their relationships or their finances, or they started a company. Or sometimes I get the call just to celebrate. I just received a call a few days ago from a man who called me up and said, listen, I've been using your stuff for years. I've gone to all your seminars, listened to all your tapes. I was struggling like crazy. And in 7 years, I built this company. I just sold it for $120 million. I'd like you to come on my jet and celebrate with me. That's a nice goal, right? But I've had so many experiences in so many different countries with so many different kinds of people. I mean, I've dealt with the kids in the South Bronx addicted to cocaine, and I dealt with the top CEOs in Hollywood addicted to cocaine. I mean, people's challenges are the same no matter where you go in the world, whether it's Southeast London, Tasmania, or California. You're going to see that human beings are the same. We have different beliefs, we have different rituals, but we have some of the same challenges, and the solutions that work for human beings are the same worldwide. Now, initially, I took all the things I've learned from all the people I worked with. Now, obviously, while I was quote unquote supposedly teaching them, I was learning from them. I was applying it to myself. And I made huge changes in my body and my emotions, my relationships, and my finances. But you know what? Whenever you make a change and you make things better, you feel great for a while, and then pretty soon there's another gap. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be if you're healthy. Only people that are lying say, oh yeah, everything's perfect. How long does it stay like that? Because we always raise our standards. Because one of the needs we have as human beings is to grow. If you don't grow, you die. It's not about your body. It's not about the money. It's not about the weight. It's about discovering what you're really capable of and experiencing that feeling of aliveness. And you can't have that unless you realize there's a gap. So if things are going really great in your business, usually, your kids are not getting enough attention. And you feel bad about it, but what do? You gotta handle it, right? Or if things are great with your kids, you're not taking any time for your own body. Or you're taking time for your body and you don't have time with your spouse. It's the nature of a human being that whatever we focus on, we'll tend to get more of. If you focus on problems, you'll get more of them. If you focus on how to make something better, it'll get better if you really act on that focus. But we don't usually have a systematic way of looking at each of the areas of life that are most important. And in fact, most of us focus on things that aren't important. We make them too important. I really believe that people in life are usually stressed simply because they're focusing on things and giving enormous energy to things that don't really matter that much. We focus on, they get all upset. And have you ever done that? I sure have myself. So upset about something, all the emotion. And you know what? 6 months from now, you don't even remember it. Maybe even 6 days from now, sometimes an hour from now. But you don't take the time to focus on the things that matter, like your body or your relationship, or, what's happening with your kids, or your connection with God, or, hey, what do I really want from my life instead of keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again and trying to do it more and harder, even though you're not fulfilled. See, most people are afraid to look at what's missing. But you know what? The moment you can figure out what's missing, it won't be missing anymore because you can get a system, you can start to focus on it, you can start to move towards it, and you can achieve anything you put the focus and action into. Anything anybody else has ever made happen. You have the same resources, you have the same nervous system. Some of us are bigger or stronger, some of us have more background in one thing, greater education. But you know what? Those limits are not the real limits. The limits are the limits of our psychology, our mindset, our beliefs, and the feelings we have about them. If you believe that this is it, this is the best life's going to get, you're right. And if you believe, you know what, I don't care how bad it's been, I don't care how many times I've tried this doesn't work, this is going to do it, and I'm going to take action every day until I find the way, you will. And all you have to do is look around life and see the examples of that everywhere. It's not people's background that makes them successful. It's their psychology, it's their mindset. It's do they have a way of consistently focusing on something, obsessing about something that's so important to them, and are they willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen versus talk about it? See, everybody's got a story about why they can't have what they want. And I'm here to tell you the only thing that stops us, and I'm not telling you, I've done this so many times, so I'm not pointing the finger, trust me. But the only thing that ever stops us from getting what we really want is the story we have about why we can't have it. And we all come up with those stories. So part of what we want to do in the next week is get rid of the stories, come up with the plans that are proven because they're based on people that have already succeeded at the highest levels, and then let you tweak it to your own style. You don't be crazy and insane like me. I know at times I want to talk too fast and I might be a little obnoxious. I don't mean to be. I really want to serve. But I'm going to do anything I can to get through to you because I really know what's possible. If you're at the top, you're not there. There's another level. And you're not going to be happy until you find it. Maybe it's a level of joy. You're the top of the money, or you're the top of your career, or you're the chairman of the company, but there's some new adventure awaiting you. And unless you keep finding it, life doesn't feel like life. It feels like a job. It feels like something you gotta do. And There's nothing worse than feeling like you gotta do versus you get to do. Life isn't get to, and we so often convince ourselves it's a got to, and we wonder why we're not so happy. So now you have some emotions that you really want. How do you create them? And you have some emotions you don't want. How do you get rid of them? What if I told you you literally could change how you feel in an instant? Well, you know this is true from your past experience at times, right? There are times, like we said earlier, where you're totally upset and something got your attention and now you're laughing. You know, people can be literally at a funeral and they're in a terrible place and all of a sudden something cracks them up. I mean, it's pretty rare, but it has happened. People can be in a place where they're in the worst situation and somehow they find all their determination. How to do that specifically is what I want to show you real quickly now. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of it, but I'll give it to you in 3 parts. 3 things you need to feel anything. These are the reasons why you feel anything. In other words, if you feel sad or upset or frustrated or depressed, there's only 3 reasons. And if you change any one of these 3, you're going to change how you feel. And if you change all 3, you'll change how you feel completely. If you're feeling happy, if you're feeling excited, if you're feeling euphoric, if you're on a roll and you want to know why you feel that way, yeah, maybe great things are happening in your life, but there's a reason why you feel that way in this moment. Sometimes you have great things happening in your life and you still don't feel great. So how do you do that? There's 3 reasons. 3 things have to be in place for you to feel great. I call these 3 reasons the triad because there are 3 patterns that if you do these 3 patterns in your body in a certain way, you'll get a certain result. That's like a recipe. You do one recipe, you get one result. You do another one, you get a different result. You get one kind of cake or another. So let's give you an example. I have a seminar I do this. The initial seminar most people go to is the Life Revolution. It's a chance in a weekend to revolutionize your whole life. Not just change things or make it a little better, but to really step up and say, I'm going to transform it. I don't care if it's my body, my emotions, a fear, my job. It's time to do it. And we put people in an environment for 3 days of total immersion that is a blast. And people come out transformed. That process, though, very often, one of the first things I'll do is I'll ask people, what do you really want? I'll take people in the audience. They got 1,500, 2,000 people in that type of program usually, and they'll say, oh, well, I want to make, $1 million. I want to make $1 billion. I want to help my kids get through school. I want to have more confidence. I want to lose 57 pounds. I say, okay, great. Why do you want these things? If you lost the 57 pounds, if you made the $1 billion, what are you going to get? And sooner or later they'd say, well, if I change the world, it'll make a difference. And I'll say, yeah, but what will that give you? And eventually I say, well, it'll make me feel good, like my life had meaning. Or they'll say, if I lost 47 pounds, I'd feel more sexy or I'd feel more energetic. Or they'd say, if I made this money, I'd feel freedom or power or secure. Whatever it is you want, you only want it because you think it's going to give you a feeling. And the truth of the matter is you can have that feeling right now if you just change these 3 patterns I'm going to tell you about. So the first pattern that determines how you feel is the event, what you do with your body in this moment. Right now, you're feeling what you're listening to is related to how you're using your body. Specific example. If I were to tell you that there was a depressed person behind curtain number 1 over here, and for $100,000 donation to your favorite charity, if you could describe them physically without seeing them, I bet you could do it, couldn't you? What's their posture like? Say it or think it at least. You can say it, no one's going to hear you. You're probably in the car. You're walking, people talking phones all the time. They don't know what's going on. Speak to me. Seriously, what's their body like? First, their posture's probably what? Slumped. Where are their eyes? Down. Where's their head? Down. What's their breathing like? Full or shallow? Of course it's shallow. Their facial expression up and tight or slack? You know it's slack. Now how come you know all these things without me telling you? Because you practiced this stuff before, haven't you? We all have if we've ever experienced this. Now, if you do this with your body, I don't care who we are, if you do these things to your body, you're going to feel lousy. You're going to feel depressed. Now, if you change the way you use your body, if you put your shoulders back and you breathe, if you use your voice in a different way, if you move or gesture in a different tempo, it's hard to feel depressed in that way. In fact, there was a research study that was done early in my career that was done at UC Berkeley. And they did something that sounded insane. Traditionally, if somebody's depressed, if they go to a traditional psychiatric approach, today we live with a philosophy that depression is merely a Prozac deficiency. Know that we live in this world today that things aren't working out. Let's not resolve what's going on inside you. Let's just drug you. It's called better living through chemistry. Yeah, just drug you, keep on going. We do the same thing with kids today. We got this attention deficit disorder. They've now upgraded it to ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. This couldn't be the fact that kids are overstimulated, don't get enough focus or attention, but they're not being directed. We go for the quick hit. We want the instant solution, even if it isn't the long-term solution that makes us more healthy. You can get a solution, but it may not be sustainable in a healthful way. The bottom line is, in that approach, we usually drug people. So at UC Berkeley, they tried something different. No drugs. Did something you're going to think sounds so stupid. Here's all they did. They came up with a simple approach. They took people that were clinically depressed. This means you achieved high levels of depression. You've got a certification now. You are clinically depressed. You are an achiever at the depression level. This means you practice this pattern on a regular basis. And they took them. And by the way, I know I'm sounding obnoxious right now. I'm not trying to make depression sound like these people are terrible, because I felt it in my life a long time ago too, but I don't go there anymore because I know exactly what creates it. And I want to break the pattern of us thinking we're not in control. So please understand where I'm really coming from. But the point is, here's what they did. They had people come for 4 weeks, stand in front of this mirror that has 3 parts to it, and do one silly thing. Grin from ear to ear. And they had to make them smile for no good reason for 20 minutes. Now, when they're doing this, they grin so big that they created crow's feet on the side of the eyes. You know that little set of lines you're smiling so big? Now, interesting, they keep their shoulders back while they're doing this and breathe fully. They go, dumb idea. But what happened? Not a single person was able to remain depressed, including a woman who claimed that she was depressed even while she slept, which is one heck of an accomplishment. And you know what's interesting? At the end of these 20 days, many of them had no need for medication anymore, and that's all they changed. Only one part of what we call their triad. Just the physical part. That's how powerful it is. See, if you rise up, if you move up, if you use your body in a totally different way, you're going to feel different. Emotion is created by motion. See, we have 80 muscles in our face. How many of them are you using consciously? Are you doing anything different with your body so you can feel different? Or do you do the same things so you feel the same things? You look at your list you have written down there. That list represents a few patterns that you do in your body on a regular basis. You don't even think about it. And whenever you do it, you're going to feel it. Some make you feel good when you do that. Some make you feel bad. By the way, when you think about a movement, to breathe, you got to move. To sing, you got to move. To speak. If I start talking like this, I'm moving organs in my body in a different way than if I started speaking more like this. By the way, what if you got this tape set and I said, "Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and I'm going to share with you now how to have an extraordinary life during the next 7,000 hours of this program." You got turn this guy off quick. There's got to be some combination of energy there, and that energy comes because I'm not sitting in a chair here. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm looking at this microphone. I'm visualizing your face, and I'm trying to think what I can give you that I know will make a difference based on 25 years of experience. And I'm telling you, the number one thing is change the way you move. Change the way you use your body, and you'll change the way you feel now, instantly. I don't care how bad you felt, if you change it. Now, if you just change it for a second, and you move your hands up for a moment, you make a little minor change, you'll get a minor change in feeling. But if you make a radical change, if you go, yes, I'm doing this now, I'm sick of this, I promise you're going to feel different if you go, oh, I don't know what to do. I know this sounds so stupid, but it works. And you know what? The best study of life is what works, even if it's simple. It's nice to have things simple. Why do we have to make it so hard to feel good? So how are we going to do this? Well, the first way I did this years ago is I created a product called Personal Power. You probably saw it on TV because I obliterated the airways with it. And I was on television every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day for more than 10 years consistently. Somewhere in North America, the United States or Canada. That's an actual statistic. And so 35 million of my tapes and CDs went out there, and people used them to change their life. The greatest gift of my life today is ever if I'm in the public. People tell me about how this work has changed their life.
Teen District in Rockford, Peoria, Bloomington, Peckham, Belvedere, Loves Park, McKinsey. Also running for Chicago Mayor. Go to ChicagoMayorVote.com or JohnKitoverChicago.com. This is a meditation of love and intelligence for you. Created spirits would lose themselves in the infinite, and from lack of the power to concentrate themselves somewhere, they would be dead, impotent everywhere. Lost as they would be in the immensity of God. All created spirits have their bodies, some subtler, some grosser, according to the surroundings in which they are called to live.
It's not necessarily
The soul of a dead man would
Goyim is bad, because there are 2 types of people out there. There's the Jew and the person who wants to be Jew. The Goyim are the ones that want to be Jew.
Oh, okay. So the Goy are Gentile, non-Jew, sometimes in a pejorative sense. Well, I'm not a Jew, so I don't qualify. I'm confused. Maybe you could help me out there, because since you're a rabbi. Was it for being a goyim? I have to desire to be a Jew? Is that
That's already in your nature.
is me wanting to be a Jew?
Yep.
Oh, okay, so it was just repetitive for you to say that. Okay.
So okay, go to JohnForCongress.com
Better quality,
or ChicagoMayorElection.com or ChicagoMayoral.com right now. If you like this video, share, subscribe.
better quality
Liberty,
food.
which is the life of the soul, is
So
only
it's kind of like
preserved
a
in the
fraternity.
order of
Like
nature.
I want to join a fraternity.
God standeth. Okay, what do you want?
I'm gonna say it like that.
Would that be kind of accurate though, even though you wouldn't say that?
That'd be kind of very vague.
Oh, well, I feel like that's kind of what you just did. I'm just curious as how it differs from being in a fraternity.
The thing is, you're trying to comprehend the scope of the magnitude, but the thing is, how can you visualize a color you have never seen?
As a good friend, kind of reminding you of what you already know, because learning is remembering. Socrates said that centuries ago.
Rabbi, I hate to say it, but I think your reception is
actually focus on it. So
compromised because it's kind of
focus
breaking
on you
up.
and give yourself the gifts you deserve. I'm no special guy.
Kind of
I just
eating,
spent years
and
doing
maybe
this
you're
stuff. Just like
disappearing
whatever
from
you're doing, I'm
reception.
sure
I
you've
don't know
mastered
if
it.
you're
You've
speaking.
done it for years, and every day you held yourself to higher
There's
standards.
somebody walk by
I'm sure
there
you can
eating
teach me
sunflower
that.
seeds.
Thank you for letting me share my point of view here. And by the way, you don't have to agree with everything I say. I don't expect it. I'm not here to be your
Somebody was walking by eating sunflower
What you
seeds.
don't say, that guy's nuts, and throw it away. But know that whatever is here that's valuable, you gotta act on. You gotta follow through on. So how do we get ourselves to do that? Well, with personal power, I created a 30-day program. And that program has gotten results from people, as I say, all over the earth. And it's pretty famous, and you may even know somebody that's used it. Maybe that's one of the reasons you picked up this program. Maybe you didn't see an infomercial. Maybe a friend said, you gotta do this. Well, however you got here, why did I change it? Well, I'll tell you why. I started doing focus groups, and the product was still selling like crazy. And I thought, I want to reach even more people. Who are we missing? Instead of saying, wow, look how successful we are, how do we get to people we're not reaching? And we do these focus groups, and they'd say, well, do you not believe that Tony Robbins is real? And the majority of the time they said, no, I believe he's sincere. I believe he's a real guy. Do you not believe that people get results? No, I'm sure those people got results. And then they'd say things like, they just don't have the time. And I think, what do you mean the time? And they'd say, 30 days. I'd say, 30 days to change your whole life? Are you nuts? I mean, you're not worth that. It's not even a whole day. It's 45 minutes, an hour, maybe a day or 90 minutes, for God's sakes. I was frustrated thinking, God, these people really think this way, but we live in that nanosecond culture. Remember the old days you were taught that all this technology was going to transform the world, we're going to have all this free time? I don't know about you, but it hasn't worked out too well for me. Most people got themselves a Palm Pilot so they can have their email wherever they are. They don't have to go home and sit on the computer. They can do it everywhere. They got their beeper. They got their cell phone. Many days things are all put together with a camera and music simultaneously these days. We are constantly responding to the demands of the environment and rarely taking the time to decide what we really want. And whenever you react to stimulus, you're not in control. And when you're not in control, you're not going to stay happy. Because listen, a measure of your self-esteem comes down to one simple thing. Do you feel like you control events, or events are controlling you? And I'll tell you what, it's so easy to get sucked in, and I've done it myself, and I've done it even when I've known these tools. This is not something you figure out one time, and then all of a sudden it's all perfect. It's like muscle. You don't get muscle by going to the gym once. You develop a system of working out on a regular basis, and after a while, working out is fun. You look forward to it. It's your time. Part of what I want to do in this very first day is give it to your time. If there's anything missing in our lives, it's time with ourselves, thinking about not problems, but what we're grateful for, thinking about what we want, creating the plan to make it happen, creating the juice of our lives, stopping and taking in what already is great, because you can't build on failure, you can only build on success. But if you do that once in a while you feel pretty good.
Wait, you can build on failure. I don't understand that one, Tony. You can build on success and failure. You're gonna have failures in your experiments, Tony.
Short time, the first time in the morning, to set myself up for success, because rarely does a great idea interrupt you. Rarely does beauty just suddenly surround you and engulf you. You have to stop and notice and appreciate it. You got to seek it out. You got to schedule it. Everybody talks about things, and I tell people when they plan their life, I said, talk's cheap. You talk about it, it's a dream. When you start to envision things, it gets exciting. When you start to get a plan, it's possible. But when you schedule it, it's real. So part of the power of this Get the Edge program, and by the way, you're going to see I snuck in. I gave you a bonus of the first week of personal power, and I'll explain that in a minute why I did that. But part of the benefit of this is just having a simple system that you say, for a week, I'm going to do this. And if you do it for a week, I bet you'll do things like this for yourself ongoing. After a week, you're going to feel so different about your life. You're going to have so much momentum. You say, well, can I really change my life in a week? Of course. In fact, that's what made me say, okay, you can't do it in 30 days. I'll make it a week. You can do anything for a week, can't you? Come on. A week for yourself. So I thought, if I made it a week, can I really do it? And I thought, of course, because you know what? People say they have no time. I think that's such a lie. We lie to ourselves so much. That's why we don't have what we want. I've done it too. I'm not pointing fingers. But you can't lie to yourself and expect to have the truth be a part of your life and have success that comes from the truth. See, all change happens in a minute. You gotta remember the power of a minute. In 1 minute, you could change everything in your life. In 1 minute, you can say, never again. Never. As the Jewish people have said in their country. They set a standard there and they said, we will never go through a Holocaust again. It will never occur again. When a human being gets that point of never again, it takes a minute. In a minute, you can also do some other things. In a minute, you can look somebody in the eyes like you've never looked at them before. In a minute, you can hug somebody like you've never hugged them before. In a minute, you can say the words, I love you, and mean it at a level you've never meant it before. In a minute, you can say, I quit, or let's begin, or it's over, or I do. Think of the minutes of your life that have changed who you are. And I gotta promise you, in these little boxes, we got a lot of minutes. We got a lot of them in here. Minutes, there's moments right at the point you think, this guy's insane, and I want to turn this off. You stay there a little bit. I can just tell you because I've done it for years. It's different for somebody else. One phrase will wake something up inside you. I'm not going to give you anything. It's all inside you. But when it wakes up, baby, it is time to move, and I don't have to tell you that. It'll just happen. You'll suddenly say, this is it, no more. And it's kind of like that Pearl Harbor movie when, you see them come diving down and the Admiral should be celebrating. And they say, Admiral, we've got this great victory. And he says, oh, I fear we've awakened a sleeping giant. And inside of each of us is that giant. It's a giant of emotion because that's where it starts. It's the emotion. Emotions start wars, don't they? Emotions get you married or they get you divorced. Emotions make you have kids. Emotions make you break through the problems or give up. It just depends which emotions you decide to live with. So, how are we going to do it? Well, 2 options I'm going to give you. I created personal power, and so I decided, even though I said 7 days, to do 2 things. One is I went into the studio and I wanted to take things and give you the best of what I've learned today. Because when I made personal power, frankly, I was 28 years old. So this many years later, I've lived a lot of life, and the world's changed. I mean, during that period of time, we watched the wall come down, communism disappear. We've seen transformations in music and movies and the way we experience our lives. We've got the internet. People relate in a totally different way. Well, by the time you listen to this, they're probably cloning people, for God's sakes. And people say, that'd be great time management. I'd have some extra people to get the work done. No. Here's the point. During that same time, I've obviously made big changes in my life. I've learned a lot more about who I am. I've made some stupid mistakes, and I've had some enormous victories. The good stuff has come through me on a huge scale, and I've learned. And so, as a result, Get the Edge is a little longer than personal power. You say, how come you longer? The other was 30 days. Well, let me be specific. You can do this in 7 days. As you'll see, there's 7 days of program. If you look at the program in front of you, this is day 1. But what I did do is I made some workshops in here. Instead of just giving you some ideas and hopefully inspiring you and giving you a couple strategies and saying, go do it, I actually have stopped in the middle of a couple of these and said, let's walk through it together and do it while I'm here with you, as if I was coaching you one-on-one, as if I was physically there with you, like a trainer. So you can break those up. There's only a few, and you can do this 1 CD a day and do it for 10 straight days. Now, if you're a maniac, you could do this in a weekend, and if you're insane and on drugs, you can do it in a day and be completely overloaded. But I suggest 7 or 10
Thank
days.
you, Keisha.
Having said that, let me give you one other piece. I also sent you as a bonus the first week of my personal power program. It's the most successful personal achievement program of all time. And I'm going to recommend you start with that after you're done with this tape. You say, well, why would I do that? Why would I get your first cutting edge stuff? Because, well, how to explain this is kind of interesting. I really believe that this whole reason you're here listening to this is because you're a person that wants an extraordinary quality of life, not a good life, right? An I'm sure that's true. You wouldn't still be listening. You would have shut me off a long time ago. The point of the matter is, if you want an extraordinary life, it has to be on your terms. It has to be what you call extraordinary, not somebody else's. But I can tell you there are two things you must master to have an extraordinary life, and most people rarely even master one of them. The first is you must master the science of achievement. And achievement is a science. How to go from where you are to where you want to be is a plan. It's a strategy. It's specific. If you want to do well financially and you're starting with nothing or you're starting with something, there are specific things you can do that if anybody does them, you will be financially independent in 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 years, certainly in a shorter period of time than you ever dreamed of, and it doesn't require gigantic risks. If you want to be physically fit, if you want to achieve a certain level of fitness, of health, of energy, if you want your body to look a certain way, that is a science. There are very specific things you do, and you'll have them. You want energy. I got a friend named Stu Littleman who ran 1,000 miles in 11 days, 85 miles a day, 2.5 marathons a day. You go, so what? He's a freak. What's this got to do with me? He wasn't even a runner. He went and studied some people in Central America, a group of Indians that once a year run 76 miles in one day for fun. He thought it was crazy. He wanted to study the psychology of it. And he found out there were laws of the body that if you practice these, your energy will explode. It'll go beyond anything you imagine. You're going to learn that while you're in this program. So there are laws for achievement. And I can tell you, I'm a kid from Azusa. You know where that is? California is not a big giant place. No knock to the city. It's just not a big giant place. I don't have like some great role model that walked me through all this stuff. And I didn't have any money or background or unique education. What I had was one thing, just an enormous love of people, an enormous desire to serve, and an unwillingness to settle, and a massive amount of action. I don't know how you jump those four things, but those are the things that push me. And I just knew that there were answers out there, and I was willing to get them from everywhere. And I didn't want to hear the standard answer in the standard education. That's why I went to tapes and books and seminars. I just looked for anybody who was on the edge. Like, go find Stu. If you want to figure out how to have energy, that's what I did. Who's the most energetic man on earth? That's how I found it. I asked that question. I went and met him. I started interviewing. I figured out what he did, how he did it. I did the same thing, and my energy turned into this nonstop talking that's probably bugging you now. So let me slow down for a moment. The truth is, if you want to achieve, there are laws, and I don't care any area. I get from Azusa. I've had the privilege of, making hundreds of millions of dollars, literally, $400 million in a day, taking a company public. I've had the privilege of losing hundreds of millions of dollars also when stock prices changed. I've been able to sculpt my body. I've been able to raise 4 kids that I'm so proud of and love dearly, who are people that contribute to society in meaningful ways. I've been able to find that connection in my creator that I embrace and I know is right for me. I'm sure you've either found the way or you'll find the way that's right for you. But there are laws. There are ways to do that. So why have I gone on and on about this? We're going to teach you those laws, but the first thing that keeps you from using them is your conditioning. So we all got conditioning about why it can't be done. Or we got some bad habits, and those have to be changed. And they're conditioned. They're part of you. They've been going on for years. And so personal power in that first week teaches you why you do what you do and how to change those things. How to change that conditioning so you get momentum. Because momentum is power. When you start to get momentum, it's like that little snowball starting to go down the hill. It starts to speed up to a point where all of a sudden it's got so much momentum, nothing will stop it. So personal power will get you started. And here's the other thing about it. It's short. The first session is like about an hour, but most of them are about 35, 40 minutes. So it'll get you going here initially and get you momentum. And I gave it to you, as part of this program at no extra charge because I wanted you to get it. If you ever want to do the rest of the 30 days, you can call us and get it. But then here's what I want you to do. Come back here, and then what I want you to do is go through this process. Because this process is even more comprehensive, and it's about the following things. Today, we're going to establish a habit. I'm kind of telling you what we're going to do in the whole program so you understand the system, but we're going to establish a habit that if you make it a part of your life, I promise you, I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you will be able to experience dreams that you never thought were possible. Joy that seemed like it was unsustainable, and you'll sustain it. A connection with people like you never thought was possible. Because I'm so smart, because these are laws, and I've stolen all this by modeling people that are successful, and I use it, it works for me too, and it'll work for you. But also, then we're going to begin the process of actually figuring out anything in your life that you want to change, and you haven't changed it, and we're going to take you through a 7-step process and do it. That's tomorrow. Once you go through the 7 steps, the changes will have begun. You'll begin to make the big changes you want in your life. Then we're going to look at the area that for most people has the most pain, and a lot of people don't even pay attention to it because we get caught up in a work or something else that's easier to deal with. That's called relationships. And that doesn't just mean your intimate relationships. It means your kids, it means your workers, but certainly your intimate relationships. This is an area where there can be so much pain, even for people that have achieved. I promise you, at the end of those 2 CDs, you're going to have an experience of clarity about where you are, what you want to have, and you're going to have some tools that will create that joy in your life, either to attract the relationship you want or to recreate the relationship if you're already in it, or to make the decision to make a change if you're in a relationship where the two of you really aren't matched. That's not
About 2 years ago,
you'll have
but I did study farming primarily.
Then, of course, you got to have energy. So, how do we increase the energy? How do we get your health to the absolute peak level possible so you'll fall through into all this? The next day, the 5th day, we're going to come back to those emotions. And we're going to show you which emotions will strengthen you, which ones will weaken you, how do you change them in an instant so you know what really works. And then we have money. By the way, money should come down further on the list because if you got all the money in the world but you're not healthy, if you got all the money in the world and you're unhappy, if you got all the money in the world and your relationship feels terrible, you're not a happy camper. But if you got the energy and if you got the emotion, you got the relationship, then why not have the money too? Why not have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with a system that really works? And then finally, the 7th day or the 10th, depending on how you do it, is the power of why. Finding the sustainable purpose for your life. I mean, there are going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there are going to be problems. Those things don't go away. You just get better quality problems, that's all. I mean, a lot of people in life think they're going to be happy someday. They're going to have this extraordinary life when they have no problems. Well, you have no problems, you'd probably be dead. Problems are a sign of life. What you want to do is use them to make yourself more. This is not a program that's going to eliminate all problems. It'll help you get rid of your current list so you can create a better list that makes you grow to the next level. That's what life is. So if problems don't go away, you better have a deeper purpose for your life. Something that gives you juice. And if you're in a place and you feel like there's no meaning in your life, you may want to jump to that last tape if you want to listen to it. I'm fine with that. But you got to listen to that tape, if nothing else, the power of purpose. So how do you do it? Do the first week of personal power. Then what you do, you're going to do this week. And by the way, make sure you take advantage of that personal profile we offered you. It only takes 10 minutes online. You'll see the receipt in your box about how to do it. And after 10 minutes, you'll be blown away. You'll get a 30-page report that describes to you what kind of behaviors are natural for you under stress and how to deal with those, how it may create conflicts in your relationships or your business. It'll also show you what you value most at this stage in your life, what's most important to you. That'll help you understand why sometimes maybe you take 2 steps forward and pull 1 step back and start to sabotage because you have some things that you value that are in conflict. So take advantage of that. I think you'll find it invaluable. It's the personal profile. And again, how to do it is in the notes at the front of your book. Now, here's what you can do that'll make this part of your life. All we're going to do is go after that thing we said was missing in our lives. Do you remember what it is after all this verbiage I've given you? Time. Time with yourself. But we're going to structure that time so that we create a daily triad that puts us in a state of mind where things flow. Have you ever had that happen? It's like, yes, I know what to do, of course. Oh yeah, it's a challenge, big deal. Bring it here, let's handle it. No big deal, come on, don't worry. Have you been in those states where like nothing can shake you? You can hope that you're going to pop in one of those states and get lucky, or you can create it every morning before you start your day. So you start with a foundation that's so powerful that it affects you and everybody around you. You can make life beautiful. Life can be beautiful for you every day if you do the things he did with his body. If you focus on life the way he focused on it, if you use language like he used, he made. Next day, the 5th day, we're going to come back to those emotions. We're going to show you which emotions will strengthen you, which ones. That's a role model. If you sow the same seed, you'll reap the same rewards. But you got to schedule. Because remember what I said, if you talk about it, it's a dream. If you envision it, it's possible. But if you schedule it, it's real. So here's what I'm going to ask you for, an invitation and a challenge. I want you to give yourself that missing time. And I want you ideally to give yourself an hour of power, I call it, at least 5 days a week. And what does that mean? It means for 1 hour, I'm going to walk you through 3 things to do for an hour that will absolutely connect you to yourself and will give you a level of focus and joy and happiness and strength to deal with not only the challenges, but to enjoy your life more. If you don't do it, you're going to be driven by technology, by demands, by people, by our kids. You know, it's beautiful that you're willing to give to everybody else. But if you keep giving,
Bro, please look at the chat, bro.
I know you know this is true. So here's what it looks like. And by the way, if you can't do an hour, then do 30 minutes to thrive. You know, if it's not an hour power, give yourself at least 30 minutes. There's always 30. And if you can't do that, at least do 15 minutes to fulfillment. So I'll describe this. So there's never a day you shouldn't do this. There's always 15 minutes. But if you can lock night at 1 in the morning, and sometimes I don't go to bed to 4 or 5. So what I'm talking about, you can adapt, but just hear me out. The ideal time to work out is in the morning, because if you exercise in the morning, you turn on your metabolism and you have it for the whole day. If you don't exercise, you get no metabolism and you just keep gaining fat, and your body loses its strength and you lose muscle every single year, especially as you age. But if you can train yourself to do that in the morning as the first thing, even if you have to get up earlier, or go to bed slightly earlier, or just take 1 hour less sleep, or 30 minutes less sleep, or 15-minute less sleep, if you can do that in the morning, you turn on the metabolism, but you also turn on your emotions. Movement and breath are the first phase. So what you're going to do is have your shoes beside your bed, and if you've got somebody to do this with, it's even better. I mean, if you got your lover, and the first thing you do is get up in the morning and you can spend time walking with them, that's great, but you get up and you physically move. You go for a walk. Anywhere. You get outside, you get out of the house, you move immediately. Now, walking doesn't sound very dynamic, and you may want to run, but you walk first to start warming up your body, warming up your metabolism. And as you're walking, there's a pattern of breathing that when you do it, it will stimulate your body to cleanse itself, and it'll start to move everything you need. And the ratio of breath is you're inhaling 4 breaths in a row, so it's, and then you're exhaling 4 in a row. As you're doing this, you're actually going to be tapping fingers. You'll be doing this same pattern again and again. Absolutely connect to yourself. It will alter your state. You will literally, after doing this for about 5 minutes, begin to feel radically different. Now you're going to inhale through your nose, as you probably heard, and exhale out your mouth. Now, this is something called breath walking. There have been studies done on this at MIT, and it literally alters brain function. You have to know the studies to be able to feel what it does in your system. So all you're going to do is for the first
World
5 minutes,
candidate John Kitover,
you
good.
don't have to worry about, oh, I got to run right now, my back's sore. You just get up and you start to walk. You walk for about 5 minutes with this breathing pattern. Step 2, you get grateful and you begin to visualize. So in phase 2, what you're going to do now is you're going to cultivate the emotion of gratitude. What you're going to do very simply is, remember I said fear disappears when you're grateful. The minute you're grateful, you're rich. When you have everything in your life to be grateful for, you don't want emotion more. So this has to be a daily emotion. It's like the antidote to all the stress, the antidote to all the frustration. But you got to cultivate it, because if you go into a state of depression on a regular basis, pretty soon your body goes there automatically, because it's conditioned, it's trained. It's like what we call anchoring it. By going into that physiology, by breathing, and by visualizing. So what you're going to do is you're going to focus on and ask yourself, what are all the things in my life I'm grateful for while you walk? So you're outdoors, you're moving, so your pattern of physiology makes you feel good. You got movement, you got emotion. Now, as you're moving, you think about everything you're grateful for. And I usually start with a circle. I start with myself right here, and I think about all the things I'm grateful to God for in my life. My health. I start to think immediately, okay, my family members, and I think about them, and I send love to them. I make this spiral of thought going out. And then I think about my close friends, my close business associates, and then all the people I get to serve through my work in the world. And I just expand it. You think of moments you're grateful for. You know, a moment that I had with my son where he shared something with me that just made me cry. It was so beautiful. You know, there are moments in your life. So what are we doing? We're moving and breathing. That's changing your physiology. We're being grateful. That's a focus. And so now you change your focus. And now what you focus on is everything that you really want in your life. But you focus on it from the state as if it's already been achieved. I honestly start just giving thanks for it as if it's done. I am so grateful that business deal has come together the way it has. So what I do is I begin to see it as if it's already done. Because remember, your brain can't tell the difference between something you vividly imagine and something you actually experience. So I see it, I feel it, I think about it, I feel the emotion as if it's already achieved. The more you can program your body and your mind and your emotions that something's achieved, your brain can do things you're unaware of. And if you focus on what you want continuously, you'll move towards it. Whatever you focus on, you move towards. Most people are focused on what they're afraid of. So as an example, when somebody's out of control in a car, they immediately look at the wall they don't want to hit. And of course, as they look at it, they steer right into it. The same thing happens in life. Wherever you focus, that's where you go. Don't focus on what you fear. Focus on what you want and make it real. The more certain you are that what you want can happen, the easier it is for your brain to figure a way. When you say this is important, your brain starts noticing anything that'll get you to what's important. And if you believe it's already happened, you know enough about life that when you have that kind of certainty, your brain will find the way. Now you start focusing on today. What do you want to create today? You think about meetings you're going to have. What do you want to make that happen? Instead of going, oh, I got to go to this meeting. What do I want? Most people think about what they have to do. Think about what you want to do. Who do you want to turn on, excite, make happy? Who do you want to make laugh? What do you want to achieve there? What do you want to accomplish? See, the more you can see it in advance, you're going conversation with you started as something in my head. You're not happy to give it. The same as but if you got the energy, if you got the emotion, you got the relationship, then why not have the money to show up in your life the way you want it? Most people create in their head what they don't want, and so of course they keep manifesting what they don't want. So even for this day now, focus on what do you want to create out of this day. Think about what's coming up. How do you want it to go? How do you want to feel? How could you respond? And just get yourself juiced about the day. So now what you need to do is incantations. So if you're walking, as you're walking, you can be doing this. You can even be doing it with the same breath you started with. Or you can be going, I love my life. I love my life.
What if you don't love your life?
My entire life. It's how I've conditioned myself. 25 years ago, when I first started speaking, I was 17 years old. I made some changes in my life really quickly, and I started sharing it. And I didn't have speaking skills, but I had a state. You know, when you're in state and things just flow, just like having a conversation, you don't have to think about it, it comes out of you. But I made myself get in state because I was fearful. So I said, I got to focus on how to serve, not on am I going to do a good job. I need to focus on giving, not on how am I going to do. If you focus on how you're going to do, you're going to get worried. So I created an incantation, and I've done it for 25 years. Before I go on stage, every single time, if anyone's been backstage, they'll see what I do. I make a big change in my body, take an explosive breath, and I do this thing I call a power move that stimulates my body so I'm at the strongest state I can be. Second thing I do is I do my incantation. And what I do is I say this. I say, I now command my subconscious mind to direct me in helping as many people as possible today to better their lives by giving me the strength, the emotion, the persuasion, the humor, the brevity, whatever it takes to show these people and get these people to change their life now. And I do it again and again and again. Now I can do it once a day, and I'm there. Because I used to do this literally for 45 minutes driving someplace. I'm driving my old Volkswagen Bug, and I'm supposed to do this speech to share with people how they can do these things. Or I'm supposed to meet this person one-on-one. And I would literally chant this out loud. Now, why do you do it out loud? Because if you go in your head, that doesn't affect you. Speaking engages your physiology. And when you speak with certainty and intensity, it conditions you. So the bottom line is you do this while you walk. So if you're conscious about this, you can do it under your breath, like I said. You can do it in a breathing pattern. You can do something simplistic, like, every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. As you're jogging, as you're walking, every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. It's an old phrase from an old book from years ago. Anything will work as long as you say it with intensity. Every day and every way I'm feeling happier and happier every day. And you say it again and again. And what you'll actually get is a rhythm. I'll tell you what incantations do in case this sounds stupid to you. Maybe it'll help. Have you ever made the fatal mistake of going to Disneyland and getting on a ride called It's a Small World After All? If you have, you know the power of incantations. Because what's stuck in your head for the next 3 weeks, that song in 37 languages, right? Or if you hear a song and you get it in your head and you can't get it out, and it goes on and on and on. Well, this is a way to get the right idea in your head and condition it, but not just the idea, the feeling. So now what you need to do is exercise, ideally 20 minutes, no less than 15, 30 even better. And if you can do 45 minutes, that's wonderful. And that's how you get to the hour. And so at the end of this hour of power, you want to celebrate. You want to say, my God, I got myself to do this thing. It's set me up for victory. Now you don't have to work and celebrate. I promise you. You feel so good. You can vibrate, especially if you do the incantations. Now this process, you might say, well, I'm not going to run 5 times a week. And you don't have to. You can just go on a walk. And you can do this process, this hour of power of focus, and you can spend 10 minutes on gratitude, 10 minutes on visualizing, 10 minutes on what you want to have happen today, and do it in 30 minutes. This is your freedom. But I can tell you, if you'll give yourself an hour, where 15 or 20 of those minutes are based on these 3 things: massive changes in your physiology that make you feel great, massive changes in your focus that make you focus specifically on gratitude and specifically on what you want to have happen and feeling like it's already been achieved, and then massive changes where you push your body to be stronger and you make some incantations, you say some phrases over and over, at least 5 or 10 minutes of it. You will have conditioned your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit will soar. And now you will deal with problems radically differently. There will be problems, will be challenges for you. And more importantly, you'll be excited to connect with people. You'll be excited about your projects. You will affect people around you in a different way because you will have an extraordinary psychology. If you want an extraordinary body, it takes a ritual, doesn't it? A ritual of diet or a ritual of exercise. hour of power is prayer. If you believe in prayer, this is it. This is a form of it. Maybe the greatest prayer is not asking for things, but saying, thank you. Thank you, Lord. Getting in that place on a daily basis for no less than 15 minutes to fulfillment, and ideally the hour of power, will change your life more than anything else. If you listen to any other tape and you just did this, I can promise you, if you did it for 6 months, your life will never be the same. Because all the research shows that if you even exercise for 6 months, you'll exercise for the rest of your life because it becomes physically addictive to you. If you get away from it, you'll feel pulled to do it. All you got to do right now is give it a week or 10 days. Do this with me for 10 days, and I promise you, you're going to get some momentum. If you want to guarantee success, do it for 30. That's why I did personal power for 30 days, and that's why I gave you 7 days of personal power on top of the 7 days to get the edge. This tape is much longer than any other, and other than a workshop, because I really wanted to hopefully engage you. I don't know if I'll ever see you again. I don't know if you'll listen to another CD, but my goal was to do everything I could to get you to give yourself what you deserve, and to tell you the 3 things that you got to take control of, and to remind you of the fundamentals that your life is nothing but your emotions. If you get the right emotions, you'll work out. If you're determined, you'll work out. If you're determined, you can go on a diet, but most people are trying to go on a diet and they're not determined. You can change a state that fast, but you gotta get the habit. Are you sold? I hope so, because the sale is for you, it's not for me. It's for you to create what you want long term. If you will do this, and you'll even do it 4 days a week, you'll just get a habit that you'll commit to it one day. Your pride will soar. Because when you just discipline yourself a tiny bit, by the way, this doesn't feel like discipline, it feels like joy when you do it. But if you discipline yourself just a little bit, you get a positive habit you consciously created, it spills over into all the areas of your life. And if you stay with me on this over these next 7 days, we're going to address each of those areas with the best tools I know of. So thank you for listening. And what I want you to do is tomorrow, or if you're crazy like me, you'll just grab the next tape or CD and go for a walk. Tomorrow, I want you to go do this first thing in the morning. I want you to start out your day by doing this hour of power, or this 30 minutes to thrive, or these 15 minutes of fulfillment. Just do it. And by the way, this sounds complex, and I've overloaded you because it's been a long session. Don't worry. I'll walk you through it fresh as we do it, but make sure you get started. The hardest part is the first step. The hardest part to get is momentum. The hardest part is get to the gym. So just do it, as they say in the Nike ads, and you'll get what you really want. So, my friend, I plead with you. Give yourself this gift each day. I mean, this is really one of the most important decisions of your life. And I hope my crazy, outrageous approach pushed you in the right direction and didn't push you away. I hope somehow I found my way into your heart or your intellect or whatever part of you we've got to reach to push the button that launches your life to the next level, to the level it deserves to be. So this is the beginning of a brand new journey. And I'm really grateful that you've allowed me to be your coach in this first part of the process. I think we can make immense progress. So let's start taking real action. Let's not just talk a good game, you and I. Let's do it. Just get your butt out there, because once you get out there, you'll get out there again and again. You'll get that momentum. It'll take over, and the best of you will start showing up every day. And when the best of you shows up every day, you're going to start appreciating yourself, and so will everybody else. So today, look around you.
Thanks, Tony.
Magic moments. They're all around, and sure, if nothing else today, you live with passion. Today and every day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Live your life with passion every single day. And that's why we've got to vote out Mayor Brandon Johnson and Darren LaHood. Brandon from Chicago and Darren from Congress.
So I told you up front that what we're going to do is get you to create an extraordinary life, and I said you needed 2 skills. I never finished it. The first skill was the science of achievement. Step by step, here's how you do it. You can achieve anything. Anybody has. Anyone who wants to can make it happen if they follow certain laws. You sow, you reap, as I've already said. But you can succeed and not be fulfilled. And success without fulfillment is failure. And I can't tell you, I've dealt with literally millions of people around the world. Again, some of the greatest achievers in the world. And I've met a lot of achievers, but I've met very few that are truly fulfilled. See, to have an extraordinary life, you need to be able to have the science of achievement, but you also have to master the art of fulfillment. And it's an art, it's not a science. In fulfillment, there are principles. There are things that if you use them, you can create joy right now, even though you haven't achieved all your goals. And you know what? If you're more joyful right now, you're going to have more energy to go after them. See, most of us have been trained, at least in the Western world, we're supposed to go do things so we can achieve, so we can eventually feel good. in the East. I'm supposed to feel good and enjoy myself right now because this is all there is. One is focused on the future, the other is focused on the present. We need both. Listen, if you live here in the West and you just sit around and you bliss out and feel wonderful, you're going to be fulfilled. But for how long? You know, if you just sit there and be fulfilled, people will come and take your furniture. You got to do something with your life. Life requires that we do things that allow us to contribute to the world, but it also requires, if we're going to be fulfilled, that we find a way to enjoy them. And if you can do that, now you're at the top of the ladder. Because if you don't do that, you bump into the experience I bumped into. I achieved. I made it all happen. You know, I felt so excited about my life. I was juiced. I was giving, and I was seeing the results. And, you know, one year we fed 1 million people at Thanksgiving to my foundation. It was one of the biggest dreams I ever had. I felt so alive, so happy,
But
so
was it my voice
juiced
or
about
was
things.
it
You know, I
something
made
else?
a ton of money.
Happen to be able to say because there's something atheists look for. You're gonna have to go to a library of atheists.
A library?
Yes, the library of atheists, which is
How do you
also
spell library? By chance, just so I know how to find one of those.
oh, it's spelled like this. Get a pen and paper or a colored crayon.
What we were covering first was when I asked
G-A-Y.
Garth about the crayon.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
he
Let me.
recommended the crayon before I read the Bible.
All right, check this out. This is how you spell gay library or atheist library. It's spelled Gay space BAR.
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting word. I'm going to write that down. I appreciate that. Is that your close? Do you want to cover any more of your turmoil before you move yourself down to the audience? Or is that it?
I don't think I'm necessarily doing something or saying something bad. Unless what I'm saying is bad is the observations that are being made by looking at the atheist community.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't labeled anything you said as bad. I just want you to feel comfortable in these discussions because I know this is more of your world. So I don't want to feel like a stranger. You know, I want to be warm and receptive toward you. And
Well, there's a lot of that in the atheist community, reception.
interesting that you've encountered that. That's good because it sounds like that's something you seek as receptive.
They go to these schools, they get their 4-year degree, 4-year master's, and then they're working reception at the Starbucks. Is that fair to say? Christian, start up a room or something. I'm not sure if they're letting people up.
Celebrate. I want to say, my God, I got myself to do this thing. It's celebrate. I promise you.
Thank you. Thank you for the insight to your people's psychology, I guess. I don't know. What do you want my takeaway to be here?
I hope I'm not turning you atheists on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to speak for that. But for me, no. You don't have to worry. I'm not going to, again, like, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. You know, I think that you're a nice person, and I respect your sexuality. And again, I can recommend some therapists in the chat that are more available to you. Did you have any other questions for me before you leave? All right, I guess not. All right, well, that was not interesting at all. Anyone else want to try?
Well, you guys are really running a tough ship over here, Supermods. Honey, I wanted to apologize and say I'm sorry. Maybe I was a little cruel by enjoying you being compared to CM in terms of IQ, but you're still here talking, and so just wanted to come and say hello and let you know I've decided to move on from Clubhouse. I'll be deleting the app shortly, and I will no longer be speaking to any one of you ever again. And so I just want to wish you all well, especially Daniel, and Megatron and Narges, my close Clubhouse friends. But I will not miss you, and I will be deleting the app. And I wish you guys well in your fake universe, as if this was like Roblox or something in your in your actual real lives. And I'm glad you guys can finally admit that it's just a video game, really. And it's unbelievable how much time people will spend playing this video game known as Clubhouse. But is there anything you'd like me to, know about you personally, as opposed to just like superficially, with all these conversations, which are completely huge wastes of time and just filler material for probably what we would call mild depression, lack of motivation, lack of insight or foresight or any kind of goal or any actual, desired end state whatsoever. So, kind of basically like failed science. People like to say, people here are hypocrites because they're theists, or they're low IQ because they're atheists. I'm just saying that, is there anything you want me to take away? Or do you just, because the wisest thing I ever heard from somebody was a tenant moving out of one of my buildings, and he just looked at me. There was no conflict. He solved the conflict by just saying, be good. Be good. That was all he had to say to me. And I was like, be good. That was it. I was like, wow, that was probably the smartest thing I've ever heard anybody say to me was be good. And I was like, be good.
Hey, it cut out for me. I didn't hear what the tenant said. What he said?
He said, be good. Be good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Be your best. You go do you and keep paddling. Keep supping. Get good sun,
Vitamin D is important.
Barefoot as much as you can. Yeah, and I'd say, if your feet aren't tan by mid-April,
Ooh, I like that.
you got to improve upon that.
I like that, bro. Let's tell that to all the spring breaker partiers out there who are just tanning their firm little booty cheeks and their tippy toes. But, there is some hidden knowledge, which is very ancient, and you could call it magic, because prior to the invention of electronics and technology, particularly, mastery of electricity, some people would have claimed that science was superstition or magic. So the fact that we're on a conference call app powered by electricity and magnets and circuit boards and silicon chips, some people would say that, that is the highest form of intelligence, and thus you are superstitious when it comes to this Jehovah God. And why I'm being muted is pathetic, but that's okay. People can mute me all they want, but here I am just telling you that your room and muting me is a total waste of time, but you're going to do it anyways because you're low IQ and you're angry about something. Now, maybe you're not getting your dopamine like from a titty. You're just drinking from a titty and you're not getting the dopamine juice that you want and need. So you're muting me to try to get it. But here you are muting me and I'm unmuting me. Clearly, this has to be a video game. This has to be a video game. There's no other way to explain it to people who have never played the video game known as Clubhouse. And so I kind of resent these Clubhouse town halls where they're telling us that we can now monetize a video game, like as if we're not playing a video game. So you mean to tell me that Clubhouse is now going to pay me to play this video game? Because look how many times I have to hit the buttons and click, click, click. And video games, you have to click a lot. So it proved to me that Clubhouse is not just a video game, and everybody here is in a secret conspiracy not to call it a video game. I am complete. Hello? Well, somebody's kind of depressed, I think. It's not me. I'm living a life full of joy, living a life full of passion, daily, exceptional passion, passion beyond belief, joy and abundance, health and wealth, plenty of love and joy. Oy vey, I'm overflowing with joy, overflowing with abundance, overflowing with absolute love in my heart, intelligence in my heart. Wow. Can you imagine some loser with cheddar cheese on his head hitting a mute button over and over again in a one-bedroom apartment, angry and pissed that he's on a social audio chat app hitting a mute button? Jesus Christ. It's called dandruff control shampoo. Go to the gym. I mean, for Christ's sake, how many times are you going to sit here and hit a button over and over again like it's some kind of a fucking video game? Hello? Hello? Wow. This room has hit a new high. Wow, it's unbelievable. On stage, I'm sitting here playing a flute and somebody keeps muting me. As if there's anybody else here entertaining anybody with any kind of content. It's just a mute button content. Pathetic. Oh, man, cheddar cheese head. Take a shower. Take a shower and use dandruff control shampoo. It's called dandruff control. It's called Head and Shoulders. Head and Shoulders makes my hair feel good. It takes the dandruff out of my scalp. It gives my skin the glistening smell of dandruff. Bye. No more dandruff on my head. Dandruff is not my friend. I got rid of my dandruff. My name is Daniel, and I sometimes play a Catholic with my friend Barth here, who also pretends to be a Catholic. But here we are, talking dirty late night, every night, all night. Barth is on here literally. What's 24 minus 18 is, oh my God, he only sleeps 6 hours a day because he's on here 18 hours a day. He is on here 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he's got dandruff, probably like Daniel, because no one could sit here and talk to Muslims all day long without having dandruff on my head, dandruff on my head, dandruff on my head. Hit the mute button. Who keeps muting me? 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 God, so funny. Oh, man. Who keeps muting me? 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 I'm writing a song about muting me using AI technology. Who keeps muting me? What kind of a video game is this that someone just keeps muting me? Do they have an auto clicker to mute me? How do they keep muting me? Stop muting me. Who keeps muting me? Who keeps muting me endlessly? Muting me. Who keeps muting me? Why do you keep muting me? Why do you keep muting me? What kind of game is this? Do you call it the mute me game? How long will you mute me, miss? Mute me, mute me. Oh my God, CM is here finally. Mute me, mute me. Who keeps muting me? This beautiful song is dedicated to the Chatterhead who keeps muting me. I'm willing to bet all three of you have dandruff. This is like the Three Stooges of stupidity here on Clubhouse. People that will waste every single precious moment of their day sitting here talking endlessly with stupid people, including themselves. None of you stupid moderators are worthy of not being raped. Raped? Did I just say raped? I meant barbecued, roasted. Sorry about the R word. All I'm trying to say is that if you're going to mute me 1,000 times and sit here and talk endlessly as if any of this is not just juvenile, pedestrian, stupid, crazy behavior, you are retarded. You don't read books. You don't go to the gym. You probably don't even cut your toenails anymore. So listen up, you retarded moderators who endlessly use this retarded app. I am quitting this app. This is it. Today's my last day. I'm quitting the app forever. And you're all just going to be here 5 years from now, still being recorded by my burner accounts. And I want to thank you all so much for giving me your lives. It's like I'm a soul collector, harvesting souls here on Clubhouse. Sorry, you can't censor. Hello? 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 Wow, mute me for the 1,000th time.
Yeah, you're gonna feel the repercussions either way. There's a war.
Whoa! Hello? Oh, we're doing silent meditation day. I get it now. Oh, thank God they finally are embracing silence. It's beautiful, actually. Oh, I love a good silence. Still got dandruff, though. Sorry, Daniel. You're going to have to go take a shower. We can't let you into the party with a head full of dandruff. I've seen your photo. You already look like Monsignor from 1465. Try to take a shower. I can smell you through the phone. And Narges, it's one thing to talk about Mikhail's dog, but when I hear your dog moaning, and groaning, clearly you're not taking care of your dog good enough either. You're probably not taking care of yourself good enough, because if you have the time to voice a million opinions over just the past 60 days, well, clearly you're not doing anything, productive enough. You're not getting paid. And so we have to look at the dollars. We got to look at how much we're getting paid for every word we spray, how many seconds we spend on these stupid devices. So let me ask you a question. Are you interested in taking this room and your, learning to the higher level? Because quite honestly, it's not just about money. It's about intelligence. And I'm afraid that some of you might be lacking in intelligence, especially whoever keeps muting me over and over and over. There we go. Update it. And if you want to update the title of the room to John Kitover, Mayor of Chicago, that'd be great. You can mute me all day long. I'll keep hitting the button. I'll just keep. I can click and click and click. It's not a problem. Stop. And I'll sing a song too while I'm doing it. I'll call it the Stop Muting Me song by John Kitover. And I'll clip this on YouTube a million times too. So stop muting me. You keep muting me. Who is muting me? Why are you muting me? You keep muting me. Stop muting me. Why are you keep getting muted? Who keeps muting me? Well, what a cool video game. Do you get paid to mute me? Do you get paid to mute me? Do you get to pay to mute me? Someone send him gold coins for muting me. Who keeps muting me? Why are you muting me? Why am I muted here? Why do you censor me? Why do you keep muting me? This is my new song about you. You keep muting me. People are watching. What the fuck is this guy doing? All right, well, I want to thank you all very little. I appreciate you very little. And I'm going to go on with my life, as I'm sure you will. And your room, I'm sure, is going to be a big success. You got a whole great room, great full of people doing all kinds of great things every day, talking all day long, every single day. Oh, Megatron's working so hard. Yeah, I don't know. Enough. There's no overtime. There's no overtime. Yeah, go check the closet. Pretty sure the drill's in the closet. The drill's where I left it. There's no overtime. Oh, Narges is a construction agent. Where are the blueprints, Narges? Show me all the blueprints. 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 Oh, I'm exhausted myself with all this unmuting and muting. It's like being in a slot machine casino and just hitting the button, putting in a penny. But I'm not getting paid back for every penny that I click, because usually when I pay the penny, I got to click it. That's how you do it. That's how you make the money in the penny slots. That's how you make a lot of money in the penny slots with the pennies. Yeah, Daniel now. Daniel's like, oh, I buy fake guitars and I sell the Gibson guitars on Etsy. Oh, really, Daniel? Oh, you're selling fake guitars now, huh? Oh, yeah, Daniel. Oh, I got to find me some fake guitars to sell. Fake guitar salesman, hello. Oh my god. I cannot believe someone is over there that just keeps hitting the mute button. Oh man, what an exhausting room. I gotta hit the mute button just to talk in here a million times. I think we're at like 1,000 Rabono Shell alums already. You'd think some people would want to be productive these days, but no, I guess productivity and getting a job now is just having to hit the mute button. Hit the mute button! Hit the mute button! Hit the mute button! Somebody mute him! Mute him up! Mute him up! Somebody mute that guy up! Mute that guy up! It's your job to mute that guy! Mute that fucking guy! Put a mute on him! Put a mute on that fucking guy! Mute that fucking guy! Mute that fucking guy! Mute him! Mute him! Mute that fucking guy! Mute him! Mute him! Mute him! Mute that fucking guy! Mute him up! Mute that fucking guy up! Mute that fucking guy! Mute that motherfucker! Mute that fucking guy! Mute that motherfucker!
Countdown. 3, 2, 1. Everything's gonna be fine. Just breathe.
Hello? Did you say take the deepest breath of the day? Because I'm breathing over here. I'm taking a deep breath. Can you hear me? Hello, I'm breathing over here. I'm taking a deep breath. Taking the deepest breath of the day. Hello.
Can you just be in a cloud?
longest going mute and unmute battle in Clubhouse history. I'm going to submit this to the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest mute and unmute competition in Clownhouse history. We've done it again, ladies and gentlemen, making amazing technology amazing by wasting all our time clicking buttons. It's like being at a casino hitting a slot machine button on the penny slot machine, baby.
Who's all here? Yeah. What the fuck is going on?
Hello? 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 Hello?
So I had all the choices. I could do all the crazy stuff. I got to have my island and my plane and all that stuff. That when you grow up poor, you think, boy, that would just be it. But the stuff didn't do it for me. I knew it never would. The people part really did. But there came a point where I was so focused on doing and giving and giving and giving that I wasn't taking any time for myself. And I remember one day, actually, being on stage with 18,000 people in the room. They gave me a standing ovation. I had this incredible thing. I felt so alive when I was giving to them. But when I stopped giving, I felt empty. I mean, it was a scary moment. And I realized there were some things in my life that I had not focused on, and they're hurting. And I pretended that they were okay. And they weren't. When I was doing my relationships, now that I'm doing my relationship with my own time with myself, I never took the time anymore. I started out doing that every day, doing my hour of power. But now I was so swept up in doing, I wasn't taking
You're crazy, bro. I can't believe that I'm doing this. I can't believe that you're doing this, bro. My God. 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 My God.
Why did you do that? Or I don't like it. Change always creates problems. As you have problems, you create solutions, which, by the way, are more changes. When you create more changes, what does that do? It creates more problems. So problems are here to stay. In fact, they won't be problems for you. They'll be challenges, and we love a challenge, don't we? Nobody wants a problem. We love a challenge. I mean, why do we watch sports? Two people take on a challenge to see what they can do. Why do you start a new business? What is it that makes you attracted to someone and say, my gosh, can I connect with them? Can I get through to this person? Can I get across? It's challenge. Challenge is necessary for growth, and growth is life. So it's a cool system. So let's get right to the point here. If you're going to have an extraordinary life, that life where you are juiced, then all that means is you're going to have a life where the primary emotions of your life are the ones you want. See, it doesn't mean that life works out every way you want. Sometimes it rains on your parade. Sometimes the events of your life you can't control. But you can control what it means to you. And when you control what it means to you,
They finally kicked me.
Okay, شكرا يا جماعة.
They finally kicked me.
life is beautiful. It's a story. story of a man who has an extraordinary life. Not because he has more money than anybody else, not because he's in a situation where everything is easy, but because he's alive. He has this joy about him. And by the way, if you've actually ever met Roberto Benigni, the man who plays this character, you know that he lives this way day to day. You know, he was authoring this thing from himself. He's such a joyous guy. When he won the Academy Award, you never saw so much emotion. He was like a little boy, and everybody loved it because nobody else has the guts to be that way. Or they've forgotten what it feels like to just feel, to be alive. What makes him extraordinary? An extraordinary psychology, an extraordinary mindset, an extraordinary way of looking at the world. And in the movie, the man has that, doesn't he? And who does it affect? Everyone. Everyone within the realm of his influence. His wife feels like the most cherished person on earth, and so does he. Because when you give that kind of love and that kind of joy, people give it back. It's infectious. His son seems so happy, and they're in the middle of the Nazis taking over their country, and if you know the story, I won't run it, you know that they get picked up. And there's such a connection amongst the family that the wife is not being sent away, and she gets on the train with them. And there in the middle of this camp, this man with his extraordinary psychology figures a way of looking at the situation for his son, presenting it so that his son sees it as a game. Isn't life a game anyway? Instead of this horrible situation. And because he has that perspective, in the end, his family survives. See, if you want your family to survive, if you want them to succeed, if you want them to have joy, if you want your kids to have a lasting love, if you want to be able to give gifts in your life and not just take care of yourself, then you got to have an extraordinary psychology within yourself. It's not where you live physically, it's where you live internally. There are two worlds, the inside world and the outside world. We can't totally control the outside one, but we have absolute control of the inside one. But you know what? Most of us are too busy to take any time to check out and see what's going on in here. Or we just accept it as this is the status quo. This is who I am. This is my life. Or I'll get to it later. Mañana. I got to handle this first. Something else that's not so important. I want to invite you, my friend, to take the time to say, I'm going to have every day power of power. Every day, I'm going to have at least 30 minutes to thrive. Or 15 minutes to be fulfilled, for God's sakes. Or I'm going to take those 15 minutes and I'm going to focus on everything I'm grateful for. I mean, if we're going to have a life, we got to have time. And the time has to have some specific things we do, and one of those is gratitude. If you want to know what's the quality of your life, how much time do you spend in gratitude? How much time are you grateful and appreciative to the point that emotion wells up in you? I'm feeling it now. I'm so grateful to God. I'm so grateful to have the privilege to serve you right now. So if you can get to that state, everything changes. I'll give you an example. If you think about being fearful, when you're fearful, you're not grateful. If you want to get rid of fear, which everybody has, and people say, oh, I'm not fearful, I'm stressed. Or if you have places like LA or New York, they're achievers. They can't even be stressed there. They have angst. You know, it's a higher level, it's more sophisticated levels of stress. But you know what? If you follow the trail of stress, it brings you to fear. And everybody's got fears. Fear they're not enough. Fear that it won't work out. Fear they won't be loved. Everybody's got that at some level unconsciously. We're human. So you can put the fear aside when you're grateful. I don't just mean intellectually, yeah, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. I mean stopping, thinking, seeing, and feeling. So I'm going to walk you through a system that includes gratitude. Every day of our life, we got to have a vision. Every day of our life, we got to have something that excites us. When people tell me, oh, I'm bored, I'm tired, you know, that thing's boring. No, you're boring. Because you don't have something that excites you in your life. You haven't come up with a vision. You haven't come something to move towards. We all need something that's going to make us use more of who we are. Our courage, our passion, our joy. Face our fears. Build our emotional muscles. But you don't build emotional muscles when you do the same thing day after day after day. What you get is a life that's unfulfilling. So we've got to have a vision. So every day I'm going to take you through a simple process that'll get you to expand your vision so you have a compelling future. That thing that makes you want to get up early. There's a reason. You got to have a reason. And you know, I have friends that have sold their companies. One guy sold his company and made almost $1 billion in cash, about 800 million plus. And you know, he was so excited for about 2 months, maybe 3. But you know what, after that, you know, there's only so much time you want to sit on the beach by yourself because everybody else is working, you know, and doing something and being productive. There's only so many cocktails you can take. You know, there's only so many, you know, movies you can watch. There's a limit to it. What he needed was a new vision. anytime you achieve a goal, as you get close to it, you better set up the next one real quick, because otherwise it's kind of like postpartum. You were looking forward to that baby, and now you got him. You know? And sometimes in the middle of the night, you're going, what did I do here? Have you ever had that experience? I got 4 kids. I can relate. I hope you can. But you know what? You also have the experience on the other side of it. It's so wonderful. It's kind of like, you know, the guys that went to the moon for the first time, the first astronauts. I mean, they worked their whole life. They achieved this goal. They walked on the moon. Then they came back. There was a ticker tape parade. They were heroes. They shook the president's hand. Now what? What do you do now that you walked on the moon? Well, maybe you got to find how to get adventure not out of a moon flight, but adventure out of a smile. You know, maybe you got to have a vision for what your life's about now. Without a vision, people perish. You gotta have a daily vision that excites you. Otherwise, life becomes mundane. And there's nothing worse than an okay life. I told you you're not going to have that when we're done here. I promise you, if you get this little habit, you won't have to settle for a mundane life. What people are going to go is, what happened to you? Because there's an excitement in creation. There's not a lot of excitement in maintenance. I mean, you have to maintain your body. You got to maintain things, but creating things, that's what God created us for. Gave us the gift to make choices that could create new things, businesses, ideas, families, friends, you know, a garden. And it's available to every one of us. But if you don't get a vision each day, then the day is not going to have much juice, is it? So every day there's got to be a little time for vision, right? Time for gratitude, time for vision. Every day you got to move. I'll tell you why most people are unhappy. They don't move. Look at our lives today. I mean, most people live in a box, don't they? And then what do? They get up in the morning and have a box cereal breakfast, right? And then they get in their box and they drive. And sure enough, they drive to their box office. They go up a box elevator. They type on a box. They talk on a box. They have a box lunch. They drive their box home. They turn on a box to be entertained. And maybe they just really go for the variety and have a cylinder to try and change their state. Listen, life has got to be about movement. When you move, you're alive. Emotion comes from motion. The more you move, the more you feel. Motion in your voice. For me to have this voice change, I'm changing the way I move. You saw me right now, you think I'm a maniac because I'm moving different ways, but that's how you feel. And by the way, the less you move, the less you feel, the less alive you are. If you're totally rigid, totally inflexible, no movement, this is known as death. Right? So if you have emotionally, you're stuck, move. So every day you gotta move. Now that can be a simple, gentle form of exercise, but it's something that's got to happen. And by the way, if you want a great relationship with anybody, what do you got to have? Some time with them, don't you? How about you? How about you? And not only do you have to have time with them, but maybe have a conversation with them. And most of us got conversations in our head, but we're not directing them. So we're going to show you each day how to have a conversation that you direct. A way of directing your mind, of shaping your mind, of conditioning your mind. It's kind of like going to the gym and just getting in the best shape of your life, but it's the best mental, emotional, spiritual, physical shape. And you don't need me to do it. I don't have to follow you around the rest of your life. This is going to be something you're going to do for yourself. I'll be here for the first 7 days or 14 if you decide to do these 2 weeks with me. And if you want to visit with me again, great. Or come see me at a seminar. I'd love to meet you, but you don't need me. I'm not here to create dependency. I'm here to remind you what you know is true, just to create some habits that will create the result you want. So, how does it work? Well, let's do this first. It's time for you to make some discoveries. The quality of your life is the quality of the consistent emotions you experience. I'll say that again. How you feel is your life. What are the feelings you have on a consistent basis? So I'm going to ask you just take a moment. And if you have our journal there, you can do it in a journal. You can do it on a piece of paper. You don't make it rules driven. Just do it. Don't just do it in your head. I want you to write down all the emotions you experience in an average week. And on one side, write all the good ones. The other side, all the bad ones. Now, when I say bad ones, there really are no bad emotions, but the ones that are painful and you don't like. So all I want you to do is write them down. And when you write them down, try not to edit them. Don't try and say, well, just do it this way. If you experience this emotion on a consistent basis, doesn't mean every day, but at least once a week, write it down. The ones you consistently feel, not the one once in a while you feel this feeling, because what this is going to tell us is where you're really living right now. This doesn't tell me your income. I don't care. But I care about what you're passionate about. I care about what hurts you. I care about what you love. I care about what moves you. And you do too. And you don't have to tell me the what's. Let's just figure out the feelings first. So please take a moment right now, because now we're going to begin to stop talking and we're going to start the process of doing. First step here is let's figure out where you are. Write down now. On one side, all the emotions you consistently feel in a week that are positive. On the other side, all negative. So stop the tape right now. Or if it's a CD, just pause it and get yourself to this right now. Go ahead. Are you still listening? I'm not going to continue until you do this. Come on here. You got to get the right. Don't just listen. Okay, if you're in your car and you say you can't do it, then turn off the CD Go ahead and do it. Do it right now. Here's the second part of the triad. The second part is the pattern of focus and belief. And they relate to one another. See, whatever you focus on, you're going to feel whether it's true or not. Have you ever had an experience where somebody did something, or you thought somebody did something? Even better example. You heard, you thought they did it to take advantage of you. And as you focused on that, you got angry or sad or hurt. And then later on, you found out you were dead wrong, that either they never did it, it wasn't true, or that wasn't their intent, and you felt bad about it, or you felt embarrassed. How can that be? Because whatever we focus on, we feel, whether it's true or not. Focus equals feeling, just like the way you move affects your feeling. See, right now, if I said to you, what are you juiced about in your life? What could you be excited about? If you really wanted to be excited in your life right now, what could you be excited about? Or what are you proud of? Or could you be proud of? You want to be proud? Or who in your life do you really love? Who loves you? Think about it for a moment. Who do you really love? Who loves you? By the way, how does that feel when you focus on or you think about someone you love? So whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. If you want them to succeed, equals reality to the individual, even though it's not reality in actuality. I'll say that again. Focus equals reality to the individual, even though it's not reality in actuality. That's a complicated way of saying whatever you focus on, you're going to feel, whether it's true or not, because your brain doesn't know the difference between something you vividly imagine, that's called focus on, or something you actually experience. That's very powerful. If you use this to your advantage, it means something very simple. How fast can you change how you feel? As fast as you change your focus. As fast as you change the way you move. See, right now, if you're focused on something that's really upsetting or something you're worried about or something you're fearful about, you're going to feel those feelings. If you focus on something you're really grateful for, you're going to feel a totally different set of feelings. See, you're in control and you can change your feelings in an instant. The problem is we don't believe we can change that fast. And the second problem is we have patterns of doing this, don't we? We tend to, like, on a regular basis, focus on what overwhelms us, or focus on what we're upset with in our spouse, or focus on why we failed in the past. And if you keep focusing on things where you didn't succeed, guess what? You're going to feel like a failure. And when you feel like a failure, you're not going to take action to make things better. You can't build on the past that doesn't work. But you can also focus on what you want, on what you want to create. You can focus on the solution. Hey, when you got a problem, everybody's got problems. But 95% of your time is got to be spent on the solution. 5% of the problem. Most of us spend all the time describing the problem more and more and more and more detail. We wonder why we feel overwhelmed. Focus is the secret key to changing, and you can do it in an instant. One way to change your focus is to change the third thing, your language patterns. See, all day long we're thinking. What's thinking? All day long you're asking and answering questions with yourself. Should I do this? What does this mean? Why is this? Where is this going on? That's what initiates thinking, is a question. But the problem is we have patterns of questions we ask that don't serve us. Some of us ask questions like, how come this always happens to me? Well, it doesn't always happen to you, but if you ask a lousy question like that on a regular basis, your brain goes, because you're an idiot. How come I can never lose weight? Well, you can lose weight, but ask a lousy question, ask and you shall what? You receive. How come I can never lose weight? Your brain says, because you're a pig. Come up with a better question, for God's sake. See, questions direct us. Questions are a form of language. And if you want to change your life, one of the things I have people discover is what questions you're asking, and also what phrases do you say a lot? Because phrases hypnotize us. We have certain words by themselves that will change the way you feel. If somebody says to you, hey, listen, I think you're mistaken about that. You might have one feeling. They go, you're wrong. You feel something very different just by the language. If somebody says you're lying, you have a whole different feeling, don't you? One word can change the way you feel when someone else speaks it to you. The words you select, powerful effect. And I don't mean just being positive and doing the Stuart Smalley thing where you've got positive self-talk, right? And you say, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and by golly, I mean, using the habit of the words and the emotions they create. And the third part of language is the phrases that you say with such emotional intensity that you start to believe them. We call those incantations. An incantation is like, if you remember studying mythology, a sorcerer would tell a prince over and over again a phrase over and over again with such intensity that he'd be hypnotized and he'd think that he was a frog. And so, of course, he was a frog. That's what he experienced. We experience whatever we focus on. We feel whatever we picture. We feel whatever we say to ourselves. We feel whatever we do with our bodies. Those are the three patterns. If If you change those three patterns, any one of the three, you're going to change how you feel. If you change all three, you're going to radically change how you feel. If you change the pattern of how you use your body.
Immigrants over big I'll be the first. When I get elected governor, I'll still be a PAS, a certified.
If you change the pattern of what you say to yourself with the emotional intensity you say it, you're going to change the pattern of how you feel.
Police officer 2 years and I'm a very godly man.
What do I do with my body when I'm in that
I will defend. Start by saying,
when I'm feeling that good, what do I focus on? What do I really focus on? And by the way, what does it mean to me when I focus on it? Because you can focus on something and one person looks at it and says, because that happened, that's why I can never be close to another man or woman in my life. That's why I can never trust again. And somebody else had the same experience. They go, because that happened, you know what?
strongly
About myself. Because that happened, I appreciate the person I'm with now so much. You can't have a foreground without a background. Right? That's the secret to life. See, one person believes their life is over because something's happened. They gave it that meaning. Somebody else says, God's challenging me. It's time to go to the next level. We have absolute choice. We have absolute control about how we feel. And whatever feelings we put in our lives on a regular basis will determine the quality of our lives. So you can have frustration, anger, upset, overwhelm, insecurity. You can be fearful. You can live in a state of guilt, worry, whatever. Or you can live in a place called passion, joy, thankfulness, gratefulness, connection, love. And if you create those emotions on a regular basis, are you going to have a different life? You bet you are. Okay, so how do we take these three understandings and make it so we don't have to think about it, but we actually, on a regular basis, condition ourselves to have the great emotions we want and get rid of the emotions you don't want? Well, first step is awareness. See, next time you start to feel like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I'm so angry about this, notice what you're doing with your cheeks. What are you doing with your mouth? What happened to your breathing just now to do that? What's happening to your eyebrows? Are you tightening your fingers in your hands? Because we all have very specific things we do to get into our version of anger or frustration or tired or overwhelmed. Does that make sense? Just notice what's happening in your body. Say, okay, I'm not breathing. That's a clue. Let me start with a little change there. My mouth is so tight, I can't even talk. That might be a clue why you're a little uptight. So loosen your jaw. Second thing, okay, what am I focusing on? I'm focusing on how, this isn't working. Now, to help you understand the belief part, ask yourself, in order to feel this way, what would I have to believe? In order to be frustrated, what would I have to believe? I have to believe that it should be better than it is, and it's not, and it's not working. Well, maybe it isn't working, but is that going to help you to focus on it isn't working? Let's focus on what we can do. Or if you say, I feel like it's hopeless because in order to feel hopeless, I have to believe that there's nothing I can do. Is that really true? Is there's nothing you can do? Or are you just caught up in a state? Or are you just caught up in a pattern? See, if you ask yourself, what do I have to believe to feel this way? It'll help you to break that part of the triad because you'll start to say, yeah, that isn't really even true. All right, so that'll help you there. The third part of awareness is to say, okay, what am I saying to myself? Why did they do this? How come they always do these things? Why don't they ever listen? I'm asking a lot of lousy questions because they may listen sometimes, but I'm saying they don't. I'm saying it with total intensity. Of course I'm going to feel bad. Let me change what I'm saying. Let me change what I'm asking. How can I turn this around? What do I need to focus on to make this work? What's the truth here? Maybe I can't control it all, but I can control what it means to me. What does this really mean? If you just have that awareness and you break your pattern, you can get out of a negative emotion in a moment. Then you can say, well, how do I want to feel? To feel like that, what would I have to do with my body? To feel like that, what would I have to focus on right now? What would I have to believe? I have to believe, I can turn anything around. I may not like it, but I can make it happen. It's just another challenge that God's given me to sculpt my muscles, right? Sculpt my soul. Throw it at me. God's the greatest trainer on earth, because a great trainer, when you think you got nothing left, what do? They go, give me 6 more. You go, 6 more? I only have 1 more. But they say, yes, you do, and sure enough, you got at least 3 more in you, and you develop real muscle, and now you're stronger. And what used to be hard now gets to be easy next time because you've been through it. That's what this is about. So now you have some emotions that you really want. How do you create them? And you have some emotions you don't want. How do you get rid of them? What if I told you literally could change how you feel in an instant? Well, this is true from your past experience at times, right? There are times, like we said earlier, where you're totally upset and then something got your attention and now you're laughing. People can be literally at a funeral and they're in a terrible place and all of a sudden something cracks them up. I mean, it's pretty rare, but it has happened. People can be in a place where they're in the worst situation and somehow they find all their determination. How to do that specifically is what I want to show you real quickly now. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of it, but I'll give it to you in 3 parts. 3 things you need to feel anything. These are the reasons why you feel anything. In other words, if you feel sad or upset or frustrated or depressed, there's only three reasons. And if you change any one of these three, you're going to change how you feel. And if you change all three, you'll change how you feel completely. If you're feeling happy, if you're feeling excited, if you're feeling euphoric, if you're on a roll, you want to know why you feel that way. Yeah, maybe great things are happening in your life, but there's a reason why you feel that way in this moment. Sometimes you have great things happening in your life and you still feel great. So how do you do that? There's three reasons. Three things have to be in place for you to feel great. I call these three reasons the triad because there are three patterns that if you do these three patterns in your body in a certain way, you'll get a certain result. That's like a recipe. You do one recipe, you get one result. You do another one, you get a different result. You get one kind of cake or another. So let's give you an example. I have a seminar I do this. The initial seminar most people go to is the Life Revolution. It's a chance in a weekend to revolutionize your whole life. Not just change things or make it a little better, but to really step up and say, I'm going to transform it. I don't care if it's my body, my emotions, a fear, my job. It's time to do it. And we put people in an environment for 3 days of total immersion that is a blast. And people come out transformed. That process, though, very often, well, one of the first things I'll do is I'll ask people, what do you really want? Just I'll take people in the audience. They got 1,500, 2,000 people in that type of program usually, and they'll say, oh, well, I want to make, $1 million. I want to make $1 billion. I want to help my kids get through school. I want to have more confidence. I want to lose 57 pounds. I say, okay, great. Why do you want these things? If you lost the 57 pounds, if you made the $1 billion, what are you going to get? And sooner or later they'd say, well, if I change the world, it'll make a difference. And I'll say, yeah, but what will that give you? And eventually say, well, it would make me feel good, like my life had meaning. Or they'll say, if I lost 47 pounds, I'd feel more sexy, or I'd feel more energetic. Or they'd say, if I made this money, I'd feel freedom or power or secure. Whatever it is you want, you only want it because you think it's going to give you a feeling. And the truth of the matter is you can have that feeling right now if you just change these three patterns I'm going to tell you about. So the first pattern that determines how you feel is not the event, but what you do with your body in this moment. Right now, your feeling, whatever you're feeling right now as you're listening to me, is related first to how you're using your body. If you're slumped over, if you've not been using it, if you're tired, you probably feel different than if you're listening to me walking right now as an example. Now, I'll give you a more specific example. If I were to tell you that there was a depressed person behind curtain number 1 over here, and for a $100,000 donation to your favorite charity, if you could describe them physically without seeing them, I bet you could do it, couldn't you? What's their posture like? Say it or think it at least. You can say it, no one's going to hear you. You're probably in the car or you're walking. People talk on phones all the time. They don't know what's going on. Speak to me. Seriously, what's their body like? First, their posture's probably what? Slumped. Where are their eyes? Down. Where's their head? Down. What's their breathing like? Full or shallow? Of course it's shallow. Their facial expression up and tight or slack? You know it's slack. Now, how come you know all these things without me telling you? Because you practiced this stuff before, haven't you? We all have if we've ever experienced this. Now, if you do this with your body, I don't care who we are, if you do these things to your body, you're going to feel lousy. You're going to feel depressed. Now, if you change the way you use your body, if you put your shoulders back and you breathe, if you use your voice in a different way, if you move or gesture at a different tempo, it's hard to feel depressed in that way. In fact, there was a research study that was done early in my career that was done at UC Berkeley, and they did something that sounded insane. Traditionally, if somebody's depressed, if they go to a traditional psychiatric approach, today we live with a philosophy that depression is merely a Prozac deficiency. That we live in this world today, and if things aren't working out, let's not resolve what's going on inside you. Let's just drug you. It's called better living through chemistry. Yeah, just drug you and keep on going. We do the same thing with kids today. We got this attention deficit disorder. They've now upgraded it to ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. This couldn't be the fact that kids are overstimulated, don't get enough focus or attention, and don't know how to use their energy in a world where things are going so slow when they're learning in school compared to how they are on the internet and on MTV or anything else. It must be that we should drug them into submission so they get as slow as us and more comfortable. It's an interesting way that we look at life today. The truth of the matter is these kids are using their bodies in ways that aren't acceptable, but they're not being directed. We go for the quick hit. We want the instant solution, even if it isn't the long-term solution that makes us more healthy. You can get a solution, but it may not be sustainable in a healthful way. The bottom line is, in that approach, we usually drug people. So at UC Berkeley, they tried something different. No drugs. Did something you're going to think sounds so stupid. Here's all they did. They came up with a simple approach. They took people that were clinically depressed. This means you achieved high levels of depression. You've got certification now. You are clinically depressed. You are an achiever at the depression level. This means you practice this pattern on a regular basis. And they took them. And by the way, I know I'm sounding obnoxious right now. I'm not trying to make depression sound like these people are terrible, because I felt it in my life a long time ago too, but I don't go there anymore because I know exactly what creates it. And I want to break the pattern of us thinking we're not in control. So please understand where I'm really coming from. But the point is, here's what they did. They had people come for 4 weeks, stand in front of this mirror that has 3 parts to it, and do one silly thing: grin from ear to ear. And they had to make them smile for no good reason for 20 minutes. Now, when they're doing this, they had to grin so big that they created crow's feet on the side of the eyes. You know, that little set of lines, you're smiling so big? Now, interesting, they keep their shoulders back while they're doing this and breathe fully. You go, dumb idea. But what happened? Not a single person was able to remain depressed, including a woman who claimed that she was depressed even while she slept, which is one heck of an accomplishment. And you know what's interesting? At the end of these 20 days, many of them had no need for medication anymore, and that's all they changed. Only one part of what we call their triad. Just the physical part. That's how powerful it is. See, if you rise up, if you move up, if you use your body in a totally different way, you're going to feel different. Emotion is created by motion. See, we have 80 muscles in our face. How many of them are you using consciously? Are you doing anything different with your body so you can feel different? Or do you do the same things so you feel the same things? You look at your list you have written down there. That list represents a few patterns that you do in your body on a regular basis, and you don't even think about it. And whenever you do it, you're going to feel it. Some make you feel good when you do that. Some make you feel bad. By the way, when you think about a movement, to breathe, you got to move. To sing, you got to move. To speak. If I start talking like this, I'm moving organs in my body in a different way than if I start speaking more like this. By the way, what if you got this tape set and I said, "Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and I'm going to share with you now how to have an extraordinary life during the next 7,000 hours of this program." You got to turn this guy off quick. There's got to be some combination of energy there, and that energy comes because I'm not sitting in a chair here. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm looking at this microphone. I'm visualizing your face, and I'm trying to think what I can give you that I know will make a difference based on 25 years of experience. And I'm telling you, the number one thing is change the way you move. Change the way you use your body, and you'll change the way you feel now, instantly. I don't care how bad you felt, if you change it. Now, if you just change it for a second, and you move your hands up for a moment, you make a little minor change, you'll get a minor change in feeling. But if you make a radical change, if you go, yes, I'm doing this now, I'm sick of this, I promise you, you're going to feel different if you go, I don't know what to do. I know this sounds so stupid, but it works. And you know what? The best daily life is what works, even if it's simple. It's nice to have things simple. Why do we have to make it so hard to feel good? So now you have some emotions that you really want. How do you create them? And you have some emotions you don't want. How do you get rid of them? What if I told you you literally could change how you feel in an instant? Well, you know this is true from your past experience at times, right? There are times, like we said earlier, where you're totally upset and something got your attention and now you're laughing. You know, people can be literally at a funeral and they're in a terrible place, and all of a sudden something cracks them up. I mean, it's pretty rare, but it has happened. People can be in a place where they're in the worst situation and somehow they find all their determination. How to do that specifically is what I want to show you real quickly now. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of it, but I'll give it to you in 3 parts. 3 things you need to feel anything. These are the reasons why you feel anything. In other words, if you feel sad or upset or frustrated or depressed, there's only 3 reasons. And if you change any one of these 3, you're going to change how you feel. And if you change all 3, you'll change how you feel completely. If you're feeling happy, if you're feeling excited, if you're feeling euphoric, if you're on a roll and you want to know why you feel that way, yeah, maybe great things are happening in your life, but there's a reason why you feel that way in this moment. Sometimes you have great things happening in your life and you still don't feel great. So how do you do that? There's 3 reasons. 3 things have to be in place for you to feel great. I call these 3 reasons the triad because there are 3 patterns that if you do these 3 patterns in your body in a certain way, you'll get a certain result. That's like a recipe. You do one recipe, you get one result. You do another one, you get a different result. You get one kind of cake or another. So let's give you an example. I have a seminar, I do this. The initial seminar most people go to is the Life Revolution. It's a chance in a weekend to revolutionize your whole life. Not just change things or make it a little better, but to really step up and say, I'm going to transform it. I don't care if it's my body, my emotions, a fear, my job. It's time to do it. And we put people in an environment for 3 days of total immersion that is a blast. And people come out transformed. That process, though, very often, well, one of the first things I'll do is I'll ask people, what do you really want? Just I'll take people in the audience. I got 1,500, 2,000 people in that type of program usually, and they'll say, oh, well, I want to make, $1 million. I want to make $1 billion. I want to help my kids get through school. I want to have more confidence. I want to lose 57 pounds. I say, okay, great. Why do you want these things? If you lost the 57 pounds, if you made the $1 billion, what are you going to get? And sooner or later they'd say, well, if I change the world, it'll make a difference. And I'll say, yeah, but what will that give you? And eventually say, well, it would make me feel good, like my life had meaning. Or they'll say, if I lost 47 pounds, I'd feel more sexy, or I'd feel more energetic. Or they'd say, if I made this money, I'd feel freedom or power or secure. Whatever it is you want, you only want it because you think it's going to give you a feeling. And the truth of the matter is you can have that feeling right now if you just change these 3 patterns I'm going to tell you about. So the first pattern that determines how you feel is not the event, but what you do with your body in this moment. Right now, you're feeling, whatever you're feeling right now as you're listening to me, is related first to how you're using your body. If you're slumped over, if you've not been using it, if you're tired, you probably feel different than if you're listening to me walking right now as an example. Now, I'll give you a more specific example. If I were to tell you that there was a depressed person behind curtain number 1 over here, and for a $100,000 donation to your favorite charity, if you could describe them physically without seeing them, I bet you could do it, couldn't you? What's their posture like? Say it or think it at least. You can say it, no one's going to hear you. You're probably in the car. You're walking, people talk on phones all the time. They don't know what's going on. Speak to me. Seriously, what's their body like? First, their posture's probably what? Slumped. Where are their eyes? Down. Where's their head? Down. What's their breathing like? Full or shallow? Of course it's shallow. Their facial expression up and tight or slack? You know it's slack. Now, how come you know all these things without me telling you? Because you've practiced this stuff before, haven't you? We all have if we've ever experienced this. Now, if you do this with your body, I don't care who we are, if you do these things to your body, you're going to feel lousy. You're going to feel depressed. Now, if you change the way you use your body, if you put your shoulders back, if you breathe, if you use your voice in a different way, if you move or gesture at a different tempo, it's hard to feel depressed in that way. In fact, there was a research study that was done early in my career that was done at UC Berkeley. And they did something that sounded insane. Traditionally, if somebody's depressed, if they go to a traditional psychiatric approach, today we live with a philosophy that depression is merely a Prozac deficiency. That we live in this world today, and if things aren't working out, let's not resolve what's going on inside you. Let's just drug you. It's called better living through chemistry. Yeah, just drug you and keep on going. We do the same thing with kids today. We got this attention deficit disorder. They've now upgraded it to ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. This couldn't be the fact that kids are overstimulated, don't get enough focus or attention, and don't know how to use their energy in a world where things are going so slow when they're learning in school compared to how they are on the internet and on MTV or anything else. It must be that we should drug them into submission so they get as slow as us and more comfortable. It's an interesting way that we look at life today. The truth of the matter is these kids are using their bodies in ways that aren't acceptable, but they're not being directed. We go for the quick hit. We want the instant solution, even if it isn't the long-term solution that makes us more healthy. You can get a solution, but it may not be sustainable in a healthful way. The bottom line is, in that approach, we usually drug people. So at UC Berkeley, they tried something different. No drugs. Did something you're going to think sounds so stupid. Here's all they did. They came up with a simple approach. They took people that were clinically depressed. This means you achieved high levels of depression. You've got certification now. You are clinically depressed. You are an achiever at the depression level. This means you practice this pattern on a regular basis. And they took them, and by the way, I know I'm sounding obnoxious right now. I'm not trying to make depression sound like these people are terrible, because I felt it in my life a long time ago too, but I don't go there anymore because I know exactly what creates it. And I want to break the pattern of us thinking we're not in control. So please understand where I'm really coming from. But the point is, here's what they did. They had people come for 4 weeks, stand in front of this mirror that has 3 parts to it, and do one silly thing. Grin from ear to ear. And they had to make them smile for no good reason for 20 minutes. Now, when they're doing this, they grin so big that they created crow's feet on the side of the eyes. You know that little set of lines you're smiling so big? Now, interesting, they keep their shoulders back while they're doing this and breathe fully. You go, dumb idea. But what happened? Not a single person was able to remain depressed, including a woman who claimed that she was depressed even while she slept, which is one heck of an accomplishment. And you know what's interesting? At the end of these 20 days, many of them had no need for medication anymore, and that's all they changed. Only one part of what we call their triad. Just the physical part. That's how powerful it is. See, if you rise up, if you move up, if you use your body in a totally different way, you're going to feel different. Emotion is created by motion. See, we have 80 muscles in our face. How many of them are you using consciously? Are you doing anything different with your body so you can feel different? Or do you do the same things so you feel the same things? You look at your list you have written down there. That list represents a few patterns that you do in your body on a regular basis and you don't even think about it. And whenever you do it, you're going to feel it. Some make you feel good when you do that. Some make you feel bad. By the way, when you think about a movement, to breathe, you got to move. To sing, you got to move. To speak. If I start talking like this, I'm moving organs in my body in a different way than if I start speaking more like this. By the way, what if you got this tape set and I said, "Hi, I'm Tony Robbins, and I'm going to share with you now how to have an extraordinary life during the next 7,000 hours of this program. You got to turn this guy off quick. There's got to be some combination of energy there, and that energy comes because I'm not sitting in a chair here. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm looking at this microphone. I'm visualizing your face, and I'm trying to think what I can give you that I know will make a difference based on 25 years of experience. And I'm telling you, the number one thing is change the way you move. Change the way you use your body, and you'll change the way you feel now, instantly. I don't care how bad you felt, if you change it. Now, if you just change it for a second, and you move your hands up for a moment, you make a little minor change, you'll get a minor change in feeling. But if you make a radical change, if you go, yes, I'm doing this now, I'm sick of this, I promise you, you're going to feel different if you go, oh, I don't know what to do. I know this sounds so stupid, but it works. And you know what? The best study of life is what works, even if it's simple. It's nice to have things simple. Why do we have to make it so hard to feel good? So how are we going to do this? Well, the first way I did this years ago is I created a product called Personal Power. You probably saw it on TV because I obliterated the airways with it. And I was on television every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day for more than 10 years consistently, somewhere in North America, the United States or Canada. That's an actual statistic. And so 35 million of my tapes and CDs went out there, and people used them to change their lives. And the greatest gift of my life today is every day of my life, no exaggeration, my friend, every day, I have people come up to me, and some days it's a dozen or more, some days it's 2 or 3, but I don't miss a day if I'm in the public, and people tell me about how this work has changed their life. And usually say, thanks, coach. If they say, you did it, I always remind them, no, you did it. And I was just there as a good friend, kind of reminding you of what you already know, because learning is remembering. Socrates said that centuries ago, and it's the truth. You know this stuff, but when do we take the time for ourselves to actually focus on it? So I'm your excuse to focus on you and give yourself the gifts you deserve. I'm no special guy. I've just spent years doing this stuff, just like whatever you're doing, I'm sure you've mastered it. If you've done it for years and every day you held yourself to a higher standard, I'm sure you can teach me in that area. So thank you for the privilege of letting me share my point of view here. And by the way, you don't have to agree with everything I say. I don't expect it. I'm not here to be your guru. Take what makes sense to you and use it. What you don't, say, guy's nuts, and throw it away. But know that whatever is here that's valuable, you got to act on. You got to follow through on. So how do we get ourselves to do that? Well, with Personal Power, I created a 30-day program. And that program has gotten results from people, as they say, all over the earth. And it's pretty famous, and you may even know somebody that's used it. Maybe that's one of the reasons you picked up this program. Maybe you didn't see an infomercial. Maybe a friend said, you got to do this. Well, however you got here, why did I change it? Well, I'll tell you why. I started doing focus groups, and the product was still selling like crazy. And I thought, I want to reach even more people. Who are we missing? Instead of saying, wow, look how successful we are, how do we get to people we're not reaching? And we do these focus groups, and they'd say, well, do you not believe that Tony Robbins is real? And the majority of the time, they said, no, I believe he's sincere. I believe he's a real guy. Do you not believe that people get results? No, I'm sure those people got results. And then they'd say things like, they just don't have the time. And I think, what do you mean the time? And they'd say, 30 days. I'd say, 30 days to change your whole life? Are you nuts? I mean, you're not worth that. It's not even a whole day. It's 45 minutes, an hour, maybe a day of 90 minutes, for God's sakes. I was frustrated thinking, God, these people really think this way, but we live in that nanosecond culture. Remember the old days you were taught that all this technology was going to transform the world, we're going to have all this free time? I don't know about you, but it hasn't worked out too well for me. I mean, most people got themselves a Palm Pilot so they can have their email wherever they are. They don't have to go home and sit on the computer. They can do it everywhere. They got their beeper. They got their cell phone. Many days, things are all put together with the camera and music simultaneously these days. I mean, we are constantly responding to the demands of the environment and rarely taking the time to decide what we really want. And whenever you react to stimulus, you're not in control. And when you're not in control, you're not going to stay happy. Because listen, a measure of your self-esteem comes down to one simple thing. Do you feel like you control events, or events are controlling you? And I'll tell you what, it's so easy to get sucked in. And I've done it myself, and I've done it even when I've known these tools. I mean, this is not something you figure out one time, and then all of a sudden it's all perfect. It's like muscle. You don't get muscle by going to the gym once. You develop a system of working out on a regular basis, and after a while, working out is fun. I mean, you look forward to it. It's your time. Part of what I want to do in this very first tape is get you to commit to your time. You know, if there's anything missing in our lives, it's time with ourselves, thinking about not problems, but what we're grateful for, thinking about what we want, creating the plan to make it happen, creating the juice of our lives, stopping and taking in what already is great, because you can't build on failure, you can only build on success. But if you do that once in a while you feel pretty good. If you got a system for doing it, that's what'll change your life. So part of what triggered me to do this is years ago, I said, you know, I gotta have my hour of power. I gotta have at least 15 minutes for fulfillment. I gotta have that short time, the first time in the morning, to set myself up for success, because rarely does a great idea interrupt you. You know, rarely does beauty just suddenly surround you and engulf you. You have to stop and notice and appreciate it. You gotta seek it out. You gotta schedule it. You know, everybody talks about things, and I tell people when they plan their life, I said, you know, talk's cheap. You talk about it, it's a dream. When you start to envision things, it gets exciting. When you start to get a plan, it's possible. But when you schedule it, it's real. So part of the power of this Get the Edge program, and by the way, you're going to see I snuck in, I gave you a bonus of the first week of personal power, and I'll explain that in a minute why I did that. But part of the benefit of this is just having a simple system that you say, for a week, I'm going to do this. And if you do it for a week, I bet you'll do things like this for yourself ongoing. After a week, you're going to feel so different about your life. You're going to have so much momentum. You say, well, can I really change my life in a week? Of course. In fact, that's what made me say, okay, you can't do it in 30 days. I'll make it a week. You can do anything for a week, can't you? Come on. A week for yourself. So I thought, if I made it a week, can I really do it? And I thought, of course, because you know what? People say I have no time. I think that's such a lie. We lie to ourselves so much. That's why we don't have what we want. I've done it too. I'm not pointing fingers. But you can't lie to yourself and expect to have the truth be a part of your life and have success that comes from the truth. See, all change happens in a minute. You gotta remember the power of a minute. In 1 minute, you could change everything in your life. In 1 minute, you can say, never again. Never. As the Jewish people have said in their country. They set a standard there, and they said, we will never go through the Holocaust again. It will never occur again. When a human being gets that point of never again, it takes a minute. In a minute, you can also do some other things. In a minute, you can look somebody in the eyes like you've never looked at them before. In a minute, you can hug somebody like you've never hugged them before. In a minute, you can say the words, I love you, and mean it at a level you've never meant it before. In a minute, you can say, I quit, or let's begin, or it's over, or I do. Think of the minutes of your life that have changed who you are. And I gotta promise you, in these little boxes, we got a lot of minutes. We got a lot of them in here. Minutes, there's moments right at the point you think, this guy's insane, and I'm gonna turn this off. You stay there a little bit. I can just tell you because I've done it for years. It's different from somebody else. One phrase will wake something up inside you. I'm not gonna give you anything. It's all inside you. But when it wakes up, baby, it is time to move, and I don't have to tell you that. It'll just happen. You'll suddenly say, this is it, no more. And it's kind of like that Pearl Harbor movie when, you know, you see them come diving down and the admiral should be celebrating and they say, Admiral, we've got this great victory. And he says, oh, I fear we've awakened a sleeping giant. And inside of each of us is that giant. It's a giant of emotion, because that's where it starts. It's the emotion. Emotions start wars, don't they? Emotions get you married or they get you divorced. Emotions make you have kids. Emotions make you break through the problems or give up. It just depends which emotions you decide to live with. So, how are we going to do it? Well, two options are going to give you. I created personal power, and so I decided, even though it said 7 days, to do two things. One is I went in the studio, and I wanted to take things and give you the best of what I've learned today. Because when I made personal power, frankly, you know, I was 28 years old. So, this many years later, I've lived a lot of life, and the world's changed. I mean, during that period of time, we watched the wall come down, communism disappear. You know, we've seen transformations in music and movies and the way we experience our lives. We've got the internet. People relate in a totally different way. Well, by the time you listen to this, they're probably cloning people, for God's sakes. And people say, that'd be great time management. I'd have some extra people to get the work done. No. Here's the point. During that same time, I've obviously made big changes in my life. I've learned a lot more about who I am. I've made some stupid mistakes, and I've had some enormous victories. The good stuff has come through me on a huge scale, and I've learned. And so
his ferry boat, the Vallejo, in Sausalito, California, to keynote addresses at major universities. The author of books on Christian theology, psychology, ecology, and Eastern religion, including his classic The Way of Zen, Watt's scholarship is deep and timeless. However, it is also his wit and playful approach to life that endears him to us today.
It has become extremely plausible that this trip between the maternity ward and the crematorium is what there is to life. And we still have, going into our common sense, the 19th century myth, which succeeded the ceramic myth in Western history. I call it the myth of the fully automatic model. Man is a little germ that lives on an unimportant rock ball that revolves about an insignificant star on the outer edges of one of the smaller galaxies. But on the other hand, if you think about that for a few minutes, I am absolutely amazed to discover myself on this rock ball, rotating around a spherical fire. It's a very odd situation. And the more I look at things, I cannot get rid of the feeling that existence is quite weird. I know that. You see, a philosopher is a sort of intellectual yokel who gawks at things that sensible people take for granted. And sensible people, existence is nothing at all. I mean, it's just basic. Just go on and do something. See, this is the current movement in philosophy. Logical analysis says you mustn't think about existence. It's a meaningless concept. Therefore, philosophy has become the discussion of trivia. No good philosopher lies awake nights worrying about the destiny of man and the nature of God and the all that sort of thing. Because a philosopher today is a practical fellow who comes to the university with a briefcase at 9 and leaves at 5. He does philosophy during the day, which is discussing whether certain sentences have meaning and if so what. And then he would, as William Earle said in a very funny essay, he would come to work in a white coat if he thought he could get away with it. Problem is, he's lost his sense of wonder. Wonder is like, in modern philosophy, something you mustn't have. It's like enthusiasm in 18th century England. It's in very bad form. But you see, I don't know what question to ask when I wonder about the universe. It isn't a question that I'm wondering about, it's a feeling that I have. Because I cannot formulate the question that is my wonder. The moment my mouth opens to utter it, I suddenly find I'm talking nonsense. But that should not prevent wonder from being the foundation of philosophy. So, there is obviously a place in life for a religious attitude in the sense of awe, astonishment at existence. And that is also a basis of respect for existence. We don't have very much of it in this culture, even though we call it materialistic. The culture that we call materialistic today, we are, of course, bent on the total destruction of material and its conversion into junk and poisonous gas as quickly as possible. This is not a materialistic culture, because it has no respect for material. And respect is in turn based on wonder, on feeling the marvel of just an ordinary pebble in your fingers. Look, here is a tree in the garden, and every summer it produces apples, and we call it an apple tree, because the tree apples. That's what it does. All right. Now here is a solar system inside a galaxy. And one of the peculiarities of the solar system is that at least on the planet Earth, the thing peoples. In just the same way that an apple tree apples. Now maybe 2 million years ago, somebody came from another galaxy in a flying saucer and had a look at the solar system. And they looked it over and shrugged their shoulders and said, just a bunch of rocks. And they went away. Later on, maybe 2 million years later, they came around and they looked at said, "Excuse me. We thought it was a bunch of rocks, but it's peopling. And it's alive after all. It has done something intelligent. Because you see, we grow out of this world in exactly the same way that the apples grow on the apple tree. If evolution means anything, it means that. But you see, we curiously twist it. We say, well, first of all, in the beginning, there was nothing but gas and rock.
Oh my God, I can't
And then
believe it.
intelligence happened to arise in it.
I'm listening to Alan Watts. What are you doing?
Oh, just watching YouTube. What's up?
Nothing. I'm sitting here playing my Japanese Zen drum. Just breathing. I even have a little fan, a Japanese fan here. And it's interesting how you can use a fan to regulate your breath.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of a magical little ridiculous stupid device. I mean, think about how stupid a stupid fan is, but in some cultures, you won't catch a woman without a fan, you know?
Hey, how's your election going?
I'm the write-in candidate for the 16th district. Some of the clerks in some of the districts, or some of the precincts, rejected my write-in candidacy. It's so stupid, but they emailed me back and said, I will be rejecting your candidacy as a write-in candidate. You know, they wanted a certified letter. Instead, I sent them an email with the signed affidavit or notarized letter. Anyways, I'll never get enough, write-in signatures to beat somebody who's on the ballot, because most people just cannot think, let alone they're not going in there to do anything other than just vote the party, you know?
How many write-in signatures you need?
If I got 10, it would be a miracle. 10 would be it. 10 is all I need. 10, not 11, 10, not 9.
Can't you just go buy 10 in a bar somewhere?
Well, I'm reading books. It's better than, some people who are digging ditches. They built a house across the street from my house. They put it up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. They built the whole frame for a house. Now they're doing all the, it's unbelievable how much lumber they were able to put together, but I didn't see them. Anyways, I don't know if it came pre-assembled, but what's new with you?
Nothing really. Everything's going fine. If you want to consider relaxing and doing nothing, fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're not in a war zone, right?
I hope not.
I don't
I
think
just
so.
can't get over Trump. He's such golden balls. I can't believe it.
Well, fortune favors the bold. I think he knows how to put together all the right formulas, and a lot of it is just
He's knocking Democrats out of their seats right now.
well, the guy's got the Midas touch. He's going to go down in history as one of the most interesting, provocative, decisive, changing presidents of American history. He will be remembered in the top 10 presidents of all time.
Absolutely. Whether you love him or hate him, he did something.
Yeah.
Which is more than most of the presidents.
Yeah, most of the presidents just seem to want to pass out the money and sit on their thumb and do nothing.
Exactly. And I think when the United States takes over Kharg Island, it's going to change the entire Middle East, because the Iranians won't have any money.
Well, they have gold.
What?
They have gold. And they have oil, but they have huge gold reserves.
No, they won't have any oil. That's the whole problem. There won't be any. All of the income that comes to for the last 20 years has come into Iran. Has come in through selling oil on Targ Island. 90% of it.
Oh.
So when the U.S. takes that over, they'll have nothing. Well, that'll be the end of the power of Iran, and then the other Gulf states are going to sort of fall in line under the United States.
You know what's interesting is I think every single country that doesn't have a nuclear weapon is or will shortly be completely taken over. You know? It's unbelievable. You know, the whole world. I mean, everything has changed in 25 years. Libya, Saddam. Like, I'm not talking about Afghanistan was just like a picture show, but the real regime changes have already occurred. You know, it's unbelievable what has happened globally. You know?
I know, but you just said something. You said countries that don't have a nuclear missile.
Yeah, look at North Korea. That's the perfect example of a country that was never defeated because they have nuclear potential.
Right, that's right.
Life is all energy.
But how many North Koreas are there?
A lot, but it's neither here nor there. It's all just a question of energy plus intelligence plus audacity or boldness, courage. You know, he who strikes first.
Wait a second. Who else besides North Korea is in North Korea?
I mean, all other countries that have nuclear weapons.
Who's that?
There's 100 countries that have nuclear weapons. What do you mean?
Yeah, but you say you're gonna take Europe, which is loaded with atomic. You know, France, England. They all have atomic weapons. What's happening to them?
The countries with atomic bombs that's what I'm saying is because of mutually assured destruction, you will never see a regime change operation unless it's a country that does not have a nuclear bomb. I'm just putting it in a double negative.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because if you can deliver a knockout blow, the risk of that type of regime change, obviously, it's just impossible. You wouldn't risk it.
Well, what do you think is going to happen to Iran after it's defeated?
I don't know. It'll probably get balkanized. You know, like this is the new this is the new contracting scam. This is gonna be Trump's second term. The whole thing. It'll go on forever. And it will never stop, just like Ukraine. The money must flow.
There's a guy who used to say that all the time on YouTube.
It's the new Ukraine war front. I mean, and it's all becoming high tech.
Oh yeah, high tech is an understatement. Without ultra high tech, I don't think the U.S. would have won this war.
I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of intelligence that goes into these targeting, parameters for the GPS systems to deliver the payload.
Well, it's not just the payload, the ability to find in Iran, the ability to find either a launcher or a little hole in the ground 5 seconds after something launches, and then relay it to an airplane probably within 30 seconds and blow it up. It's nothing short of unbelievable.
It's real magic. It's true power. It's the ability to deliver incredible amounts of energy anywhere on the planet by the snap of a finger.
Just amazing. You would made a great representative, but I'm really sorry that you probably won't fit in.
Oh, I'm 43 years old. I'll do this for the next 30 years. I'll get in.
That's a good approach.
Yeah. So this Jewish guy that I know, he told me, he's like, one of these days you're gonna win, John. I was like, I'm pretty confident that with enough, energy and momentum, eventually I can push my way in, because a lot of this is just like me being able to condition somebody for 3 seconds. We live in this nanosecond attention economy. So just to be able to get economic philosophy or business 101 in terms of a dialogue or a hypnosis or a conditioning from politician leader to voter, that people agree that the government's not being run like a business, obviously, because no business could take on this much debt. It's so crazy. The amount of debt that's been created is basically like forcing us to turn over the table. It's not a poker game anymore. Now it's like a fucking knockout fight to who controls what on the planet.
Yeah, but so far people still around the world still seem to think the dollar is worth keeping.
Yeah, you have to look. It's interesting. If you look at the currency of all countries that have been regime changed, their currency tracks until the ultimate demise of the government. Literally goes to nothing, on day of the government being regime changed. Syria and the dinar being a perfect example. So you can actually see a country's currency implode with the implosion of the government real time. It's really interesting to watch. So what
it doesn't look like the U.S. is going to implode anytime.
Exactly. That's my point, is that if you're an international investor, the U.S. dollar is by far has the greatest long-term value of any country that I can think of, because you've been to D.C., I've been to D.C., and until that place gets taken over, and even then the government will continue to exist outside of D.C. So we got a huge moat. We have a moat that basically can't be crossed unless it's like intercontinental ballistic, and a variety of that. But chances of that are pretty low.
I'd say 0. You could nuke Washington D.C. and somehow the fucking thing will keep working.
Well, they already have that underground bunker in West Virginia or whatever, the continuity program for the government.
Yeah, I know.
So that's
U.S. is like U.S. is like a cockroach. You can cut the head off a cockroach, and it keeps operating for a month, just like it had a head. Doesn't seem to bother it that it has no head.
Well, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but either way, somebody told me once in the government, it's better to be on this side of the fence than that side of the fence. I was like, yeah, you're right about that.
Well, you know that. What hell?
But, I found a better answer to that question or riddle. It's to actually be on the post in the middle, meditating, not on either side. That's where the real balance is, philosophically,
Yeah, I don't know what that means pragmatically.
It just means there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. You're the eternal dancer, and you don't have to worry about your future. That's what it's saying.
I thought you needed about 5,000 signatures to get on the ballot.
For Congress?
Yeah.
No, in the district I ran in, it's 1,550. It turned in 1,650. A lot of them were out of district, and they still spread a lie saying that it was fraudulent signatures. And if we called the girl who got the signatures, that girl would tell you they were not fraudulent, and she'd be very insulted. But she made a lot of money off of me, 1,650 times $1.50. So she made, $2,500.
What's $1.50?
A signature for a circulator.
gotta pay them. I'm confused.
Yeah, what do you think? I'm running some kind of like political, cult over here where people don't go out for signatures to get paid? I had to pay $1.50 a signature.
So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Somebody's on the street. You want to get a signature?
No, you don't pay the voter. You pay the circulator. You pay the employee of the campaign going out to get you signatures. What?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did you forget how business works?
You mean life? Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's so crazy that people think that way, but every time I discuss this, everybody thinks based on the way I say it, exactly the way you thought. Maybe it's the way I'm saying it, but anyways, yeah, it was still a success. Running, what's interesting is you're defined by your enemies, not necessarily your allies. So the fact that I've like thrown my hat in as a politician at the federal level, it's basically given me some clout, and I've built up a network of many different, social media accounts. So I shitpost political opponents or people that we don't want getting into office. So now I've created like a political consulting shitposting company, basically. I'm not getting paid for it yet, but it would be nice to be compensated for my ability to influence the narrative and do, basically, I would call it NLP advertisements.
What does that stand for?
Neuro-linguistic programming, or hypnosis advertising. It's amazing how much, what's funny is if you ask somebody, do you think advertising works? They would say nope. But the truth is, advertising is just content. They're putting words in your head like, max whitening, max fluoride, max dental care. So the whole thing is basically, there's a Wikipedia page called supernormal stimulus or super stimulus, meaning that all communication is advertising. And, once you know that, and you watch political advertisements, you're like, God, all this is hypnosis programming. It's unbelievable. How do you convince somebody to get to the ballot box to vote for you?
Well, so right now, you're just living in your house. Do you have your apartments rented?
Well, it's neither here nor there, but the spice must flow, right? The money must flow, Everybody, it's amazing. Life is a hierarchy, and I find myself in a position where, as an African-American homeless Marine veteran who I helped one time, he said, I got staying power, brother. So I'm just lucky that Hashem has blessed me with staying power. This is all I can be thankful for right now in my life. If I had a wife,
you don't have any renters, in short.
If I had wife or kids, I would definitely have to go to work. I wouldn't, there is no way I would not be doing nothing other than politicking all day. But because I don't have a wife and kids, it allows me to basically sit back and play video games. Political video games. Clicking buttons. Well, a video game is technically just somebody who sits there and clicks buttons, right?
I guess.
Well, that's what I'm doing all day long. I'm just playing a video game. But, I have an amazing library. I am surrounded by some of the world's smartest books ever written. So it's like, it's basically like sitting in a bank with $1 billion all around me.
Except you can't spend it.
Yeah, but look at somebody who is a billionaire. They can't even spend it either. It's basically just a hierarchy. You can't even spend that much money, let alone consume it or use it or spend it in a productive way. if anything, you're just giving it away at a loss. It's like buying icebergs for water. So the whole thing actually comes down to intelligence. I don't know if you could say Israel is, on the cutting edge of intelligence, but our weapons and our technology is real magic. Much more powerful than a book from the 1800s.
Is our Israel or the U.S.?
United States of America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but in conjunction, obviously.
I think that argument about Israel.
Well, see, the thing is, it's a relationship, and we benefit. It's a mutually parasitic relationship. We both benefit from doing each other's dirty work. Everybody benefits, but it's a question of for how long. Because when there's no more enemies, then what? Then we have 100 years of peace. It's peace is coming. Peace is right around the corner.
Really?
There's not going to be many more enemies left. Once Iran is taken out, the global order will be, basically we'll go back in time 100 years. It'll be a huge reset. I mean, there's still going to be terrorism because there's crazy people.
What about Russia and China? You think they're quitting?
That's half the world. The rest of the world is the West, Europe and America, and South America. I mean, basically, North America and South America is going to become, its own hemisphere, but we're still a small part of the planet. When you look at Eurasia and India, and that there's billions and billions and 3 billion people living there, like they make the rest of the world insignificant. 2 out of every fucking 5 people, 2.5 people, half the world is located in one spot of the world. That's crazy. It's basically per capita. Do you know the GDP of China and India? It's now 2 to 1. Like we're insignificant. We're number 3. We're the 3rd biggest GDP on the planet. And we're going to just keep dropping because we're just going to keep borrowing. We have to. We can't stop. But that's because we have the world's greatest military. It's just, we have these fleets, these nuclear powered fleets of tremendous striking power with literally thermonuclear detonators that we can adjust to determine how much of an area we want to obliterate. It's all totally, bitted up, zeros and ones, as far as the eye can see. You can't stop us. I think we're like the Borg, submit and be assimilated. That's it. There's no turning back. I mean, Trump crossed the Rubicon at 2 a.m. I mean, he has taken out the Ayatollah. He has taken out 80% of the executive committee. I mean, he has obliterated their military capabilities. And he's pounding them, day and night and day. Have you heard the Trump Iran song?
Trump what?
There's a song somebody made, like this really creepy music video of Trump singing, that he's going to bomb Iran night and day.
No.
It's from a famous 1980s, music video, but it's really creepy. But it's a brilliant song, but it's so creepy. It's almost like nihilistic, But I'm really glad that Trump did this because, when you shed some light on the situation, you realize, oh my God, like, thank God he did it because it would have only gotten worse, Oh, thank God.
Well, he's either super brilliant or super stupid and got lucky.
I think a lot of it is luck because, the whole Venezuela operation, the element of surprise, he has been able to capitalize on surprises in a way that only he, could be. That's why I say it takes courage and boldness. Like only with his type of gambler's attitude could any of this have been possible, Look, they
Yeah,
gave
but
the,
he wasn't. Yeah, if you go back, he wasn't really brilliant. He's filed bankruptcy 5 times, lost all his father's money. Now he's gained it back, but still.
well, ups and downs, downs and ups. There's, it's just pure physics. But he came out on top. This is the thing. It's like an addicted gambler. Did you ever see this movie? I think it was called like Mississippi Down and Out or something. This addicted gambler like rolls it up into the many, many millions in Vegas, and then finally calls it quits at the end. It's an interesting movie. It's fun, but
well, if he keeps it, yeah. I mean, keeping it at his stage of life is not an issue.
But see, Trump knows. See, you talk as if Trump is like even in the top 1,000 or the top 10,000. He's a small-time player financially, and that's why him and his sons are trying to position themselves to issue a new currency. And
you couldn't call him a small-time player. I mean, come on.
He's huge, but he's not like Sergey Brin, 200 billion, Elon Musk, 400 billion, and then there's all these other people.
Sergey Brin is 200 billion. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's all image. Like Trump lives in your mind as like a King Solomon, but there's people with wealth so far beyond. Like Zuckerberg, he has a $300 million yacht and a $30 million follow-on yacht. That's $330 million just in a yacht. Do you know how much it is to maintain that monthly? He's got multiple mansions, underground bunkers. Like this is a man, who's already ruling the world in his own parallel society. It's just he controls the communication of the planet. Him and Sergey Brin, Larry Page, and Eric Schmidt, and the Google Corp. Like they're mind controlling the planet. They're censoring. They're the biggest censors on the planet. But huh?
You left out Elon.
Yeah, Elon too. I mean, X and what Elon does. I mean, Elon is the king of it all. He's the richest of them all. But everybody still has to obey the same laws, and there's natural laws you can't get around, like mortality. No one has yet invented, a successful way to prevent the same exit door for everybody. So the prognosis and diagnosis for everyone is critical. It just doesn't matter. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the money is basically a hierarchy when it comes down to it, because you're still stuck with making the same decisions, the same communications as somebody who's worth $400 billion. Yes or no? Yes or no? And then do you get angry over things? I've heard Elon Musk just scream like a madman. No peace of mind, just a lunatic.
Pretty controlled every time I've seen him on YouTube.
Well, I have him screaming, no Jew politics in here. No fucking Jew politics. I don't want to hear no Jew fucking politics. Like he's, he wants to control shit. And it's fun fucking with people who are control freaks.
Well, I think the U.S. owes them a debt of gratitude, even on what's happening with Iran. They took 6,000 of his discs and spread them out in Iran.
Well, he's fully integrated. He's fully integrated. He's never going away. But, it is what it is. I like him. I'm not saying I don't like him. I mean, he's very funny. He's, but
he must have brilliant guys that work for him, because he can't be doing this all himself.
Oh hell no! He's got thousands of the smartest people, fully working in autonomous teams. He plays so many video games. I swear to God, this is the thing. When you're that wealthy, you can create, networks of people where all you're looking at is reporting. You don't actually have to communicate with your thousands of workers. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
beauty.
but you have to give him leadership, and he's got to know what that leadership is all about some way.
Well, the thing is, if they knew that their glorious leader is cooking steaks, farting, and burping all night long and playing video games all day long while his worker bees are working, that's why he does all of this under a fake name. Like, the guy doesn't work. He just plays video games all day long,
Is that right?
I'm not making this up. That's why facts are weirder than fiction. Like, I could show you his live stream. He records himself playing video games. And he has a YouTube channel and a big X following. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you think he's this, like, genius, right? Like, he's a Tesla? No. He's like everybody else. He still has to wipe his ass at 8 a.m. So, but he plays video games all day long. And he makes, racist statements. And he's a political animal. He has people just creating so much content for him. It's unbelievable. He's helping a lot with conservative politics. He's basically a libertarian. He believes in limited government. And he thought he was part of a revolution. Ha! Turns out they can't stop spending. And so, that's his complaint, is that the government will never stop spending $7 trillion plus a year. And it's just a quest and a competition now for how much you can get of that. Because that's where the real profit is coming from the thin air, from the Federal Reserve. Everybody is sucking at the tip of Jerome Powell.
Wow. Anyway, I'm sorry that you're not going to win. That was open.
I wasn't going to win. I did this knowing that there was no chance I would win. Like a 0.00001% chance. But never say never, I read about a guy.
Well, you know what? You need to get on the path, and you are on the path, so just don't quit it.
Yeah, I'm not quitting the path. I'm just, I'm pushing. I every day I'm campaigning. I don't stop. I just keep optimizing and optimizing and optimizing and optimizing and cleaning and organizing. Like, I'm just, every day I just continue to assimilate like the Borg. I should have gone to law school.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But now I'm just a pro se lawyer. You know what the difference is between an attorney and a lawyer?
Yeah, one passed the bar, one didn't.
Well, anyways,
You're a lawyer if you graduate law school. You're an attorney if you pass the bar.
interesting. Well, nothing really new here to report. I mean, all I got to do is just go to the gym, take a schwitz. The craziest thing is there's just not enough time in a day. I wish a 24-hour day was more like a 36-hour day. There's just not enough time to actually do all the things you want to do. So basically, you have to be very discerning and selective on what you're doing every day, and that your process, is optimized and flowing. I mean, your plastic dog toilet invention was a beautiful, brilliant thing. I'm amazed at plastic, and how it's used. Like, I bought these Meta glasses. They're called Quest, 3D glasses. You can literally run a virtual desktop 3D right in front of your face now with 2 controllers. It is the most surreal experience. It's
the controllers
in your hands, left hand, right hand. It totally takes in your complete, like, visual spectrum, and you literally forget where the fuck you're at. You really feel like you're in a 3D world. It's so weird.
Well, how much did you pay for that?
Like $300. That was it. The technology is unbelievable. And you can run a computer in front of your face in a 3D world with with a joystick in each hand. And it's literally like running a desktop computer with all the apps. It's the coolest thing. I mean, this is like the next, it is a big thing. And like Zuckerberg and Meta and Priscilla Chan, they're responsible for creating like the first big revolution in technology, in my opinion. These Quest Meta glasses are the combination of like technology and perspective. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen. You're literally looking into darkness, but there are cameras on the front of it, and it reconstructs the room you're in. And you are now in an augmented reality looking through a lens, but you're looking at your room in a 3D environment. It's the coolest technology I've ever seen for $300. It's like, and I've only spent maybe like 2 hours using it, and it's so confusing to use. But I finally kind of figured out how to navigate it because there's all these buttons on the controllers.
Well,
And
what do you think? I mean, are you using it on a regular basis, or is it just a novelty, or what?
no, it's not a novelty type of item. It's something that what's very cool is it's literally like sitting in a movie theater. Like all I'm telling you is like the way it works is so mind blowing that it's probably cooler talking about it than it is even using. Because when you watch a movie, you literally feel like you're in a movie theater and you're looking at a big screen movie theater. The audio is good, but it's just how clear it is. So until you experience it, like you have for $300, man, if you have the money, I would buy it. It
Do
is.
they have either earpieces to it,
It's
or it just comes out of
the audio is embedded in the headset. It's a Meta product. It's Google. It's Meta Zuckerberg, and so, dude, for $300
Wait, so where that's that too?
it's a headset and two joysticks. Yeah, it is basically the cheapest and coolest computer you could ever buy for $300. It's unfucking believable.
It's just a headset. What are you looking at?
You're looking at a 3D virtual computer simulator. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it's only $300. It's literally, you take a computer and you put it in front of your eyes, and you have apps and you have a dashboard, and you literally just like navigate a virtual computer. You look at YouTube, you can look at Messenger, you can look at Instagram, you can play 300 different video games. And the quality of it is so good. It's so clear. And you're like, I can't and literally it's dangerous because you forget where the fuck you're at. Like if you do it in your living room that has a mapping system, so you know that you're in a safe area, because part of these games you have to walk around. It's the coolest technology I've ever seen, and it's only $300. It blows my mind. How the fuck?
Well, I'm gonna check it out. What's the name of it?
Meta Quest.
META Quest.
Yeah, I only bought it because Amazon had it, for $300. I was like, damn, that's a good deal. $299. I was like, I'll give it a shot. You could
always return it, right?
Huh?
You can always return it.
You can, but I would never return it because it's a computer. It's literally a computer, and it's the coolest way to like visualize a computer you've ever seen. It's like unlike anything you've ever experienced. And when you look at it, you look at the lenses, they're like these weird spiral hologram lenses. And when you experience it, you're like, I can't believe how the fuck this is working. It's really good. This is why Meta is like putting out products that are like the future of technology now. An hour and a half, and then you just plug it back in, or you could plug it in when you're using it. But it is the first truly really great 3D hologram virtual simulator computer I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a product like this. I can't tell you just how amazing it is, because I love computers, I love pictures and videos. And so from that perspective, it's like the hottest product I've ever seen. and you can't really, you don't know the value of it until you actually experience it, because it's such a high quality product that when you start using it, you're just fucking blown away at how good it is.
I'm gonna check it out.
I'm telling you, this is like a cell phone that should be like $3,000, because it's technically a cell phone. You can make calls on it. It's just the coolest product I've ever bought for $300. I'll send you a link so you know
Get
for
a
sure.
battery pack extender. Or
No, you just plug it in with your regular charger. You don't need a battery pack extender or anything.
well, what if you're out in the middle of God knows where and it runs out of power?
You just plug it in. The battery charger, it's full lithium.
You're in the middle of nowhere and you're gonna plug it in.
You gotta have juice, but you're never gonna take it away from your house. You're gonna sit on your fucking couch. That's what I'm telling you. You sit on your fat ass, and you're like in a different world. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. You don't need to trust me. I'll send you a link, but I'm telling you, if you, I know you love the internet and technology, and honestly, like to use this thing twice a day is like, it's just very cool. I've never seen anything like it. It's so good. Yeah, MetaQuest 3.
MetaQuest 3. Okay.
You can buy one for $4.99, or you can buy one for $2.97. I kind of wish I had the one with the more gigabytes, but I went with the cheaper model because I'm like, fuck it. Maybe this thing sucks.
Oh, it's got more memory.
It fills up really fast. You download a video game, it's 21 gigabytes, so you can download limited shit. And I tried to download everything, and I hit a threshold.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, let me send you a link here.
Well, keep plugging away, and I'll let you know how I do with this.
Doing what? What are you doing?
I'm gonna check out this MetaQuest.
Oh, I see. Well, how's your kids doing? How's your grandkids doing? How's your ex-wife's doing?
Chancey's doing fabulous. She's making a nice living now in the cosmetics world.
Cosmetics? I thought she was doing nursing.
She is. She's a nurse, but she went and took special training, and she does faces now.
Oh, in the hospital?
No, she's got her own clinic.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I got it.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing. Yeah, but she's making more money. She's making twice as much as the nurse makes, maybe more.
Wow, that's exciting.
Isn't it? And she's getting some other special training. And these people got to come back every 6 months for a refill.
You must be her number one client.
Who? Not mine?
Yeah, I mean, last time I talked to Charisse, she said Chancey was going down there for Christmas or in November of last year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Chancey and her fiance and the little kid came down here for 2 weeks. We had a great time.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, real nice. But she's just doing fabulous. Just fabulous. Unbelievable. She's, I don't know, maybe she's got the Jewish gene or something, but she's damn sharp.
Yeah, she's got your intelligence. Some people say men are the alpha predator, but I say women are the alpha predator.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I mean, think about it.
At one time they were passive, but those days you go out unless you happen to be a Muslim.
Well, if you have 13 of them, you can splash water on them and beat them with a belt, while they wail, cry, and scream supplications to Allah.
Yeah, I just saw a video on that. If you beat a dog, you get 15 days in jail. If you beat your wife, it's like a couple of hours.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So, well,
All right.
take care. We'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good night.
Thank you for calling. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
You know, like a sort of fungus or slime on the top of the whole thing. But we're thinking in a way, you see, that disconnects the intelligence from the rocks. Where there are rocks, watch out. Watch out, because the rocks are going eventually to come alive. Theology has not, as a matter of fact, had a very distinguished record in promoting the study of other than the Christian religion. Because you see, if you know in the first place that you have the true religion, there really is no point in studying any other one. And you can very quickly find reasons for showing them to be inferior. Because that was a foregone conclusion. They had to be. Because if, for example, you get into discussions as to whether Buddha was a more profound and spiritual character than Jesus Christ, you arrive at your decision on the basis of a scale of values, which is, of course, Christian. And in this sense, the judge and the advocate are the same. Now, as you know, I'm not being very fair and very kind to modern theology, but there is this strange persistence of insisting that our group is the best group. And I feel that there is in this something peculiarly irreligious, and furthermore, it exhibits a very strange lack of faith. Because I believe that there is a strong distinction between faith on the one hand and belief on the other. That belief is, as a matter of fact, quite contrary to faith. Because belief is really wishing. It's from the Anglo-Saxon root leaf, to wish. And belief, stated, say, in the creed, is a fervent hope that the universe will turn out to be thus and so. And in this sense, therefore, belief precludes the possibility of faith, because faith is openness to truth, to reality, whatever it may turn out to be. I want to know the truth. That is the attitude of faith. And therefore, to use ideas about the universe and about God as something to hang on to in the spirit of Rock of Ages cleft for me. And there's something very rigid about a rock. And we are finding our rock getting rather worn out in an age where it becomes more and more obvious that our world is a floating world. It's a world floating in space, where all positions are relative and any point may be regarded as the center. A world which doesn't float on anything. And therefore, the religious attitude appropriate to our time is not one of clinging to rocks, but of learning to swim. And you know that if you get in the water and you've nothing to hold on to, and you try to behave as you would on dry land, you will drown. But if, on the other hand, you trust yourself to the water and let go, you will float. And this is exactly the situation of faith. The Christian proverb is that man's extremity is God's opportunity. And so the people, in other words, have to get desperate. Imagine the idea that the moment you were born, you were kicked off the edge of a precipice and you're falling. alongside you. And you're clinging to it for dear life. And thinking, gee, I've got to hold on to this. See? Well, it doesn't do a thing for you. And it's only making you anxious. And it's only when you understand that it doesn't do a thing for you that you let go and relax. So everybody's in this situation. We're all completely insecure. We're all headed straight for death as if we had been condemned by a judge. And yet here we are all clinging on to things. And we have all sorts of alibis for doing this. We say, well, I have responsibilities for my dependents and I've got to cling on. But all you're doing is you're teaching your dependents to cling the same way as you are. And making them miserable by learning to go on surviving compulsively. So the thing is, same way, if you're caught in a torrent and you try to get out of it by swimming against it, you'll just wear yourself out and you're still carried along with it. So the sensible thing to do is to turn around and swim with it. And if you want to get out of it, swim towards the edge. But go with it. Same way when you're sailing. Always keep the wind in your sails. If you want to go against the wind, tack. But use the wind. So it's this way. We're all in this great stream of change, which we call life. We are the stream. If you imagine you're separate from it and you're being carried along by it as if you were a cork, that's an illusion. You're a wave of the stream itself. So get with it. I had a friend who was studying Zen in Japan, and he got pretty desperate to produce the answer of who he really is. And on his way to an interview with the master to give an answer to the problem, he noticed a very common sight in Japan, a big bullfrog sitting around in the garden. And he swooped this bullfrog up in his hand and dropped it in the sleeve of his kimono. And then he went into the master. And to give the answer of who he was, he suddenly produced the bullfrog. And the master said, too intellectual. In other words, this answer is too contrived. It's too much like Zen. You've been reading too many books. It's not the genuine thing. And so the method of teaching used by these great Eastern teachers is to make fools persist in their folly. But very rigorously and very consistently and very hard. Now, if you go to a Zen teacher, he'll say, well, I have nothing to teach. There is no problem. Everything's perfectly clear. You think that one over. You say he's probably being cagey. But the teacher says, quite honestly, I haven't anything to tell you. I don't teach anything. I have no doctrine. As I said to you in the beginning of this talk, I have nothing whatsoever to sell you. So the student thinks, this is very deep, because this nothing that he's talking about, this nothing that he teaches, is what they call in Buddhism shunyata, and it's supposed to be the ultimate reality. But as you know, if you know anything about these doctrines, this doesn't mean real nothingness, not kind of just nothing there at all, not just blank, but it means no thingness. It's the transcendental reality behind all separate and individual things, and that's something very deep and profound. So he knows that when the teacher said, I have nothing to teach, he meant this very esoteric no thing. Well, he might also say then, if you have nothing to teach, what are all these students doing around here? And the teacher says, they are not doing anything. They're just the stupid people who live here. And he knows, again, you see, that stupid doesn't mean just straight stupid, but the higher stupidity of being people who are humble and don't have intellectual pride. So you perform a discipline by experiment, by reductio ad absurdum of his premises. And so in the same way, the Guru, whether Hindu or Buddhist, performs a reductio ad absurdum on the premise of the skin-encapsulated ego. Well, what happens then? You might imagine from garbled accounts of Eastern mysticism that one thereupon disappears forever into an infinite sea of faintly mauve jello. And become so lost to the world and entranced that you forget your name, address, telephone number, and function in life. And nothing of the kind happens. The state of mystical illumination, although it may, in its sudden onset, be accompanied by sensation of tremendous luminescence and transparency, as you get used to it, it's just like everyday life. Here are the things that you formerly thought were separate individuals, and here is you, who you formerly thought was merely confronting these other people. When the great Dr. D.T. Suzuki was asked, what is it like to be enlightened? He said, it's just like ordinary everyday experience, except about 2 inches off the ground. Because what is altered is not the way your senses perceive. What is altered is what you think about it. Your definitions of what you see. Your evaluation of it. So when you don't cling to it, when you have no longer a hostile attitude to the world because you know the world is you. It is. I mean, let's take it from the point of view of biology. If I describe the behavior of a living organism, I cannot possibly describe that behavior without simultaneously describing the behavior of the environment. So that I discover that I don't describe organisms in environments. I describe a unified field of behavior called an organism environment. It's an awkward word. But there it is. The environment doesn't push the organism around. The organism doesn't push the environment around. They are 2 aspects or poles of the same process. See, in the history of philosophy and poetry and art, we always find the interchange of 2 personality types, which I call prickles and goo. The prickly people are advocates of intellectual porcupinism. They want rigor, they want precise statistics, and they have a certain clipped attitude in their voices, and you know this very well in academic circles, where there are people who are always edgy like that. And they accuse other people of being disgustingly vague and miasmic and mystical. But the vague, miasmic, and mystical people accuse the prickly people of being mere skeletons with no flesh on their bones. And they say to you, you just rattle. You're not really a human being. You know the words, but you don't know the music. So therefore, if you belong to the prickly type, you hope that the ultimate constituent of matter is particles. If you belong to the gooey type, you hope it's waves. If you are prickly, you're a classicist. And if you're gooey, you're a romanticist. And going back into medieval philosophy, if you're prickly, you're a nominalist. If you're gooey, you're a realist. And so it goes. But we know very well that this natural universe is neither prickles nor goo exclusively. It's gooey prickles and prickly goo. And you see, it all depends on your level of magnification. If you've got your magnification on something so that the focus is clear, you've got a prickly point of view. You've got question is the world basically stuff, like matter, or is it basically structure? Well, we find out, of course, today that in science we don't consider the idea of matter, of there being some sort of stuff. Because supposing you wanted to describe stuff, in what terms would you describe it? You always have to describe it in terms of structure, something countable, something that can be designated as a pattern. So we never get to any basic stuff. There is a sense in which the universe is purely game, but not in the sense of a one-upmanship game, but in the sense of music, which is lulling with sound, is dancing delightfully with sound, you see. And nobody was ever able to give a better account of what it's all about. I mean, let's take the traditional Christian account of what the angels do in heaven. Why they sit around the throne of God and sing Alleluia, 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 and they're going, there's not just Alleluia in a sort of formal way, but they're going, they're really swinging. And by the time you know where they are, the swinging has reached such